Okay. Good evening and welcome to the City Council meeting of the City of Leon Valley. Today is Tuesday, August the 4th, and it's approximately 6:30 in the evening. And as you can see, we do have all City Council members present, and we do have a quorum. And I've asked Councilor Ray Orozco to please lead us in the pledge. If you would please stand. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hoorah!
All right. The next agenda item is citizens to be heard, but I did want to just make an announcement that I know many of you are here for the animal ordinance, which is 7.1. And so without objection from my colleagues, I'd like to move that next so that we can go into executive session, have a consult with our city attorney, and then come back out, and then we can deliberate there and then hear from you, if that would be all right with my colleagues. So we will do that. But if there's any other citizens here that they would like to address the council on any other issue not on the agenda, because you are able to speak on an agenda item, please come forward, state your name, and just generally where you reside. Thank you, Mr. Blackmore.
My name is Blackmore. I live in the state of Texas. I reside in the Leon Valley. Doc, I got two questions for you. What happened to the video on the zoning planning committee meeting this past week or whatever it was, the last one? Because you have no recording of it.
So it is up there. We are doing some renovations in here, and we've been kind of having to do meetings. So in some of the recordings, you'll hear some mic in and outage because we're playing with the system in the back for each meeting. Unfortunately, we tried to do it during the council break, but we had some unscheduled meetings, so we've been having to schedule work in this room sporadically through the last 4 weeks to get us up and running. But that video on the zoning commission should be up there. If it's not, you can check YouTube. But if you have I have your email address, I'll forward you the link to the video.
My email's been wiped out,
Oh, okay.
so we're not getting anything. Hopefully we'll get it up this weekend.
Okay.
This has been going on for a long time with this video stuff going on.
No, we just started at the beginning of June, I think, when we had the break. I'm sorry, yeah, in between second meeting in July, sorry.
All right, the other question,
Yeah.
Doc, is that clock. It needs to be up where you can see it on the cameras.
Sure.
And I know the last council meeting, it wasn't up. It's hard to see it
Sure.
behind the mayor's head.
Okay.
So let
Yes.
you know.
Thank
Please
you, I
get up
appreciate
on the wall.
Yeah, we're gonna put a
Thank
new
you,
clock.
yeah.
That one's not working on this wall back here. It's been ordered.
If not, I'll willing to go out and buy y'all one.
No, we've got one. We'll be putting it up as soon as we're done. We'll put it up.
Okay, thank you very much. That's
Thank you,
all.
sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else like to address the council on any issue that's not on the agenda this evening? Mr. Bowl, good evening and welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Council.
Yes.
Evan Bowl for Stokes Counterfield. So a couple city council meetings ago, this council approved the acceptance of a grant for the flock camera program going in. And ever since that decision was made here, it's almost like the algorithms are everywhere. Not soon after that, did the community start discussing it, talking about it, sharing articles. And more, we were learning that these flock cameras aren't what they were sold to us to be. They are not granted, they are intended to be used to solve crimes that are committed. But the harm that they are causing, the data leaks that are occurring, the information breaches that are occurring through them are not worth the weight in what they could potentially be used for on the good side. The community in other cities and other states, including Texas, are moving away from them, are trying to move away from them, or those communities are talking louder before those communities fully sign a contract. Of course, because we have already accepted and people in our city and around our city are talking about them, I've educated them on the fact that, yes, we accepted the grant for the first year. And then after that, we obviously are on the hook for that every single year, and it is a yearly contract. So I wanted to bring it back to y'all's attention that effectively this was what I was trying to express to y'all then, and I was not listened to. And I hope that at the end of this year, that before that, each one of y'all Google, do a bit of research, type in flock camera mishaps. The fact that communities are taking it upon themselves to remove them, it's all against the law, but these communities, the people in them, really do care about their privacy. And with the increase in AI doing what it wants on its own, per OpenAI, per Anthropic, recently releasing news that their models are doing whatever it is on its own and breaking free from non-internet and getting onto the internet, our information is fragile and the security of that is fragile. And we need to take a very, very close look at how we handle our communities, private information, our data going forward. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bowl. Anyone else like to address the council at this time? All right, seeing, Mr. Hefner. Good evening and welcome.
So before I start, I'd like to ask if a member of the council would bring item 6.4 off the consent agenda for this evening for additional discussion.
Okay.
That's all right.
Mr. Orozco.
Mr. Hefner, yes, I text you back and tell you that I would.
Thank you. All right, members of council, I rise today to speak to council regarding these ALPRs, or automated license plate reader cameras, commonly known as flock safety cameras. These cameras are commonly cited as an aid to make law enforcement's job easier. However, as much as we all love law enforcement, their job is not designed to be easy. The state bears the burden of proof before depriving a citizen of life, liberty, or property, innocent until proven guilty. These are bedrocks of our system of government, and they're under direct threat from a mass surveillance dragnet created by these cameras, all in the name of good intentions. We know where that road leads. Had these cameras existed in the 2020 pandemic, I'm sure that many here would have favored their use for enforcement of lockdowns and identifying anyone who decided or dared to go against the narrative of the day. I think history has proven those restrictive policies were flawed from their inception. As is the case with almost any government policy or tool, you have to be prepared for your most hated political enemy or my most diametrically opposed foe to gain power of those same tools. That's what we experience today with these cameras. Hundreds of federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies have access to the databases that are fed by these cameras. Dozens of cases across the country where law enforcement officers have inappropriately used these cameras and databases to track and harass former romantic interests, family members, or just random members of the public. The current administration in Washington has used these cameras and databases to track individual citizens crossing borders for reproductive care. 3-letter federal agencies have used these cameras to target and systematically attack immigrant populations. And I don't know if any members of this council support those activities, but by allowing these cameras in our city, you are complicit. I'll leave you with a post written by Senator Jose Menendez, State Senator Jose Menendez, just earlier today. There are rightful and growing concerns regarding these automated license plate readers, also known as flock cameras. Reports show these cameras are unregulated, have concerning ties to law enforcement agencies, and are tracking community members who seek healthcare options like abortion, and in some cases tracking individuals due to their citizenship status. We should not be living in a surveillance state. I, Senator Menendez, I'm asking for an immediate pause on the use of all license plate readers or flock cameras and a state investigation into their use. Our community members deserve to live freely and without concern that a private company, individual, or government agency is tracking their every move. So I ask you, Mayor, or if any 2 council members here or manager, if you would address this issue as soon as administratively possible and immediately pause the use of these cameras. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Point of privilege, Mayor.
Yes, point of privilege. Go
Our
ahead,
chief
Mr. Roscoe.
did do a fantastic presentation on the flock cameras.
Who did?
The chief of,
Oh, okay.
our chief of police
At the
at the
CPAC
advisory
meeting?
group.
Okay.
And I will be adding it on. Hopefully somebody will second it at the end of our meetings to go, let the chief give us a presentation on it. There's been a lot of concerns, and there were a lot of questions that he answered, most of them. And I think he can enlighten us in what's going on with those flock cameras.
That's right, because I have, I've also read a lot of concerns about the flock cameras after we passed this, so, okay, thank you. So we'll put it on the agenda. All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right, seeing no one, then let me, without objection, move 7.1 next. 7.1, discussion and possible action on amending an ordinance of the City of Leon Valley, Texas, Chapter 2, Animal Control of the Code of Ordinances, amending definitions, revising regulations, governing prohibited animals, authorizing certain licensed zoological parks, aquariums, and educational animal exhibition facilities to possess otherwise prohibited animals subject to specified safety requirements, establishing pet shop requirements regarding the source of dogs and cats offered for sale or adoption, allowing for 6-month grace period for existing businesses. And we did have a first read on July 21st, but the council wanted to have a second read in open session. So we thank all of you. There's been lots and lots of communication to the council over the last week or 10 days, and we thank you for that. And with that, I'm going to ask for a legal opinion in executive session. So at that time, do I need to read at the very end? Let's see.
Going into executive session with.
Yes. Okay, I didn't know if I had to do the government code, section 551.043 or whatever. So, okay, but we'll be back as soon as we have that consultation. But thank you so much. We appreciate your patience with us.
All
Excuse me. All right, thank you for your patience. We are back in to open session at 7 o'clock from executive session. And we do have a motion, and I hope to get a second. And so then I'll ask the council if they have any comments, further discussion. But then I will open it up for the chambers, and anybody that would like to comment on the motion, please do so, and then we'll vote. So I just wanted to kind of give the process, okay? Thank you so much. All right, so we do have a motion, and Mr. Campos, if you would please present that.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve agenda item 7.1 with the removal of section 2.01.027, which are the pet shop requirements, subsections I through K.
I'll second it.
All right, thank you. We have a motion by Counselor Campos and a second by Counselor Orozco to approve 7.1 with the removal of section 2.01027 pet shop requirements, subsection I through K. So with that, we will open it up for citizens to be heard if anyone would like to Do we need to read that section to you? Let's read that section. I was going to say, we had it.
Open it up for discussion amongst the council so somebody can.
Right.
Yes,
So we
okay.
can get clarification.
Okay, who wants to read it?
I guess we all can.
Mr. Campos, you've got it in front of
yes,
you. Let's do that.
And then we
Yeah,
can
because we've
clarify
already
it
read
for
it.
you.
Okay.
So what we're removing in subsection I is a pet shop shall not sell, lease, offer for sale, trade, barter, auction, transfer, or otherwise dispose of any dog or cat unless the dog or cat was obtained from 1, a municipal animal shelter, 2, a county animal shelter, 3, animal control agency, 4, a nonprofit animal rescue organization recognized under section 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Service Code, 5, another organization approved by the department that operates for the purpose of the animal rescue and adoption. Further, it says pet shops shall maintain records documenting the source of every dog or cat offered for transfer and shall make such records available upon request by the department. Now, this is what we're removing all
Removing,
this. And
yeah.
here is subsection J. It shall be unlawful for a pet shop owner, operator, manager, employee, or agent to knowingly violate the requirements of this section. Each animal transferred in violation of this section shall constitute a separate offense. Subsection K, existing pet shops will have 6 months to comply with this ordinance from the time of the passage. So we're removing those items from this ordinance.
Okay.
And-
So, yes, sir. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Counselor Roscoe.
And
go ahead.
basically what it says is, we're not closing anybody down. Nobody's gonna be closed out. The aquarium is safe. We just have to work on defining the language for the aquarium. None of the pet stores are gonna be closed. And that's what, Councilman was, reading out to you guys. So we're not gonna take any actions against the pet land or any, puppy sales or anything.
Okay.
And that's what we're removing. We had to approve it with a removal of those, ordinances that were on there. So we're not closing anybody down, basically.
Anyone else on the council like to weigh in on this before we vote? Okay, so we'll open it up for any comments from our,
You had good
Residents and-
presentation. I'm sorry, Mayor, I apologize. You did, I would like to hear from you.
and if you could please state your name and where you reside, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
My name is Sydney Bentz. I reside in Michigan.
I'm sorry, Sydney, would you spell your last name for the record?
Yes, Bentz, B like boy, B-E-N-C-E.
Okay.
My name is Sydney Bentz. I'm Aquatic Animal Leading Counsel for the PETA Foundation, specifically the PETA Foundation's Captive Animal Law Enforcement Division. And before I begin, I would like to request a brief extension of time beyond that 3 minutes, given that this amendment seems quite relevant to the prior correspondences that PETA has had with the council.
Okay, I'll give you an additional minute or two.
Thank you. To begin, I'm speaking in opposition to the Dangerous Wild Animal Amendments to Chapter 2, and given that the domestic animal amendments have been removed, I would ask that this council reject the amendment outright. I want to draw the council's attention to several shortcomings in the amendment. It fails to consider state and federal law upon which this amendment is purportedly relying. It creates unnecessary regulatory ambiguity. It rewards bad actors and leaves the public at a greater risk of serious injury. The amendment is as unnecessary as it is harmful. Concerningly, this amendment seemingly only benefits one single entity, the San Antonio Aquarium, a roadside zoo with a shocking record of noncompliance, both in public safety and animal welfare. First, the amendment seemingly assumes a robust federal and state framework that ensures exhibitors have to be competent to safely keep dangerous wild animals. That is, however, not the case, as the majority of animals are not regulated at either the federal or state level. The USDA only regulates certain mammals and birds. The Texas Department of Parks and Wildlife only regulates the exhibition of certain native species. And the majority of dangerous animals at the San Antonio Aquarium are completely outside of state and federal regulations, including dangerous animals who have already injured people. The city cannot rely on practically non-existent federal and state regulations to address these issues. Second, there are concerning holes in the proposed amendment. For example, consider section 2.01.016, which exempts certain facilities like, quote, aquariums from restrictions on owning dangerous animals. To make a rather absurd point, what if I claim to be an aquarium under the code and I charge members of the public admission for my backyard crocodile and piranha exhibit? Clearly, this would be something absolutely irresponsible to keep, but there are no federal or state regulations that would prohibit me from doing just that. Additionally, I could also claim I'm this new category called an educational animal exhibition facility, which is defined in relevant part as a facility other than a zoological park or aquarium that maintains animals for the primary purpose of public education about wildlife and that is exhibited as applicable through federal and state law. If I only exhibit animals who are outside of that framework, like crocodiles, stingrays, piranhas, octopuses, there are no applicable state and federal licenses. So who's to say I'm not this educational animal exhibition facility when I meet the proposed definition? And to dive into that definition a bit more, I am genuinely confused about what sort of facilities this is meant to apply to. The definition is currently unworkable. Based on the name, somebody might reasonably assume that it's a place for animal exhibition. But the definition states it's a facility that maintains animals. There's no mention of exhibition. Further, it's explicitly not a zoological park, which is defined as a place for animal exhibition. So again, what exactly is this new category meant to be? Is it a facility that maintains but does not exhibit? Then why call it an exhibition facility? It's unclear what this new category is supposed to be covering. But I'm not here to debate semantics. I just wanted to bring this to your attention. Rather, I think this drafting may have been the result of a rush to publish. The timing of the amendment is quite shocking. It came in after, just a few weeks after PETA reported to Leon Valley Animal Control that San Antonio Aquarium was keeping dangerous prohibited animals, including those who have already injured members of the public. And
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. I do appreciate it. All right. Anyone else like to address the council at this time? Yes, ma'am. Please come forward and state your name and where you reside.
My name is Rebecca Smedzinski. I reside in Gunnison, Colorado.
Goodness. And also, Rebecca, would you spell your last name for the record, please?
S-M-U-D-Z-I.
I'm sorry. S-M-U-D.
U-D-Z-I-N-S-K-I.
M-S-K-I. Okay, thank you.
I'm the Deputy Director of Captive Wildlife with the PETA Foundation. I have a bachelor's degree in primatology, a master's degree in conservation biology, and have over 20 years of experience working on captive animal issues. I urge you to oppose the dangerous wild animal amendments to the Animal Control Ordinance because it puts everyone at risk and allows animals to suffer without oversight. The San Antonio Aquarium confines multiple dangerous and venomous animals who are prohibited under the current Animal Control Ordinance. The unnatural conditions at the aquarium place wild animals in inescapable, stressful situations that can and have led to injuries to both animals and the public. Last year, a giant Pacific octopus, a species prohibited by the code, grabbed onto a young boy during an encounter, leaving him bruised from his wrist to his armpit. Adults struggled to separate the two, which is to be expected given their impressive strength. Octopuses aren't just incredibly strong, but also venomous, posing a clear risk to humans, which is why they should be prohibited. This intelligent animal was also confined to a tiny box where she was harassed all day by strangers until she died, yet she should have never been allowed to be exploited there in the first place. The San Antonio Aquarium also confines multiple stingrays in a crowded tank and allows unmonitored public contact with these dangerous animals. They're forced to spend their entire lives swimming in cramped laps and subjected to a constant barrage of human hands. Stingrays can cause serious injury to humans because they have venom in the barbs of their tails. Even if their barbs are trimmed, which is often the case in captivity, they can still cause injury to humans handling them, including causing damage to the skin from the clipped barb. And if a portion of the barb remains intact after clipping, any venom in that remaining section can still enter a wound on a human. The San Antonio Aquarium, which is run by the Covino family, has multiple citations from the USDA, including for inadequate barriers to prevent public contact with animals and for confining animals to unsafe enclosures. For instance, an African crested porcupine was killed by another after a plywood barrier failed to separate the two animals. The USDA has also cited the San Antonio Aquarium for conducting dangerous animal encounters that resulted in injuries to visitors. The Leon Valley Code ostensibly prohibits the aquarium from possessing lemurs, much less allowing untrained members of the public to enter their enclosure and handle the animals. However, the USDA cited the facility after members of the public were bitten and scratched during interactive encounters. Numerous incidents involving lemurs biting and otherwise injuring the public and employees have occurred at the Austin Aquarium and the Houston Interactive Aquarium, which are also owned by the Covino family. These two aquariums have similar appalling histories of animal welfare issues, public safety concerns, and USDA citations. All three facilities have received a total of 70 citations and 5 official warnings for failing to meet the bare minimum requirements of the Animal Welfare Act.
Okay, we'll
you.
add 2 more minutes. Yeah, go ahead.
The proposed amendment would require a facility to maintain federal compliance, but the owners have shown an alarming history of failing to do so. Amending the Animal Control Ordinance to allow dangerous wild animals at facilities like the San Antonio Aquarium puts everyone at risk. Human handling is a significant stressor for any wild animal because it forces them into interactions with unfamiliar individuals, making them feel unsafe and leading them to lash out. Public contact with dangerous wild animals is a recipe for disaster. I urge you to oppose these amendments to safeguard the public and the animals. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, anyone else like to address the council, please come forward. Yes, ma'am. Good evening and welcome. If you'll state your name and where you reside, please.
Hi, my name is Brittany
Brittany?
Taryn, Taryn, and I reside in Bexar County.
Bexar County, very good, thank you.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Brittany, and I'm here today as a mother of a boy who loves animals more than anything else in the world. A boy that spent hours yesterday at the Medina River rescuing stranded minnows and tadpoles from puddles left behind by floodwaters. He reads animal encyclopedias as bedtime stories and watches nature documentaries instead of cartoons. In 2021, we moved just down the road from the San Antonio Aquarium and became season pass holders. In 2023, when an employee encouraged him to touch the octopus for the first time, he fell in love. Meeting her brought everything he learned to life. He finally even stopped fighting me on swim lessons because he wanted to become a marine biologist and someday study octopuses in the ocean. All this to say, this is the child that I am raising, and the joy I let cloud my judgment. As a pet owner and an animal lover myself, I know that animals are unpredictable, and there is always a risk when interacting with them. Looking back, there were warning signs, but I believed an aquarium operating under this city's oversight would prioritize both animal welfare and visitor safety. It wasn't until July 14th, 2025 that I realized that that was not in fact the case. If this incident had happened to a different child or a different mother, it would have resulted in major injuries to both the animal and the child. In case you're not familiar with our story, that day when it was my son's turn in line at the touch tank, he reached in exactly as he'd been instructed to do during our visits for the past 4 years, with me by his side. The octopus immediately wrapped multiple tentacles around his arm and began pulling him toward the tank. I asked him to step back. He was unable. I tried to pull him away, but the octopus came with him. He tried peeling the tentacles off himself, but he couldn't. Our friends ran for help while my son stayed remarkably calm because he didn't want to hurt her. When the first employee couldn't free him, he called for more help. It took 3 grown adults to remove this massive octopus with a venomous beak from my son's arm, leaving suction marks from his fingertips all the way to his armpits. The bruises may have healed within weeks. What didn't heal was our trust. Not even an ice pack was offered, and when our request for an incident report was ignored, we realized something was very wrong. My son's search for answers led us to uncover a well-documented pattern of animal welfare concerns and patron injuries connected to multiple aquariums owned by the Covino family. I, more than anyone, want to see more AZA-accredited institutions in our area that inspire the love of wildlife and conservation. But this amendment moves us in the opposite direction. Instead of strengthening protections, it removes them. The decision you make tonight will show this community and its children what kind of leadership you choose to provide. My son is 7.5 and is still unable to wrap his head around the fact that adults in power let this octopus die in conditions we now know are extremely problematic. This experience has taught him that when you know better, you do better. And I hope tonight I can go home and tell him that when the people in this room learned that and learned the truth, they chose to do the right thing.
Okay. Thank you very much, Brittany. Do appreciate that. All right. Anything else? All right. Good evening and welcome.
Hello,
Hi.
Mayor Riley.
How are you doing
Hello,
today?
council members. Good, thank you. I
Great.
appreciate it. I just wanted to come up and say a few
If you'll
things.
state your name and where you reside.
My name is Jaime Trueba,
Uh-huh.
Jaime Treuba, or JT. I just want to let you know that I'm the co-owner of Petland here in Leon Valley, and we've been here for about 16 years. We've had some great times in the community, doing what we can to make sure everything is right, of course. We love our pets. We take care of our pets. We take care of our associates, make sure everything's on the up and up for everybody around. When this ordinance came up about possibly doing a ban, it was kind of hitting us on the side. We were blindsided. We didn't know what was going on. We do the best we can to make sure that everything is taken care of at store level. We want to make sure we continue to do that. We want to promise that and commit that to you because that's what we do. I'm sure the other stores as well do. I don't know anything about them, but hopefully we're all on the same level so we can continue to do that. I know there's other things that were brought up on the meeting of the 21st, and if at a later time you guys want to speak about that and go in a little more detail, I'll be glad because we'll work with anybody to make sure that everything is right for us in our community. Again, we've invested for many years in here, and actually even created a rescue facility in our store. So that way, when Leon Valley has an option or they need help, then we are always there to help them as well. So that's something we created a few years ago to make sure that we can help out as well. So thank you for reconsidering this ordinance to make sure that we don't close our doors, because that's absolutely what we don't want to do, and we want to continue to go forth. But I do appreciate your time, and if there's any questions, let me know. But at a later time, if we can meet, it'd be great to do
Okay.
that as well.
Thank you, JT. We appreciate your comments this evening. Thank you. All right. And Mr. Bowl?
Good evening, Mayor Council. Again, Evan Bowl, Forest Oaks, Kennerfield. It doesn't really shock me that sections I through K are being removed. I understand there might have been some communication possibly about any legal ramifications. Except the city has a duty and the full power to do as it wishes in terms of enforcing and making ordinances for businesses in its city regarding animal welfare and the well-being of those animals. I would agree to striking of subsection I, and in keeping with K and J and K and J, whatever the case may be. As long as the wording remains that, and this is what further research came into talking about HB 2127, which was passed a couple of years ago, called the Death Star Bill, which was the state's, attempt to limit local municipalities from passing ordinances that fit their communities. To satisfy that, by passing language that states that you're not telling these businesses where they can get their animals from, but you can approve vendors where the sources of these animals through that stipulation, that long list that Councilman Campos was talking about, by being transparent. And if they're not able to provide that, and if those vendors are not able to adequately have those animals in good care and good well-being, then these stores are an extension of those vendors and not keeping those animals in good care and good well-being. We have multiple stories just from our own, at the time, I think it was 2 or 3 stores about the animals that were coming out of there and not being kept in good health. We've had multiple stories. The first time this was discussed a few years ago, I applauded the city council for bringing it back up. The language it was presented was too simple last meeting, and I'm here today to simply say, in order to satisfy the legalities of it, you can word it in a way that manages the well-being and allows these businesses to stay in business. Because many stores across the nation have moved on from these puppy mills and these bad actors and bad faith vendors and actually continue to be successful in their businesses. They didn't have to close down, and anyone who has closed down, it was done by choice. So I strongly urge you to reconsider striking those and putting in this new language
Okay.
to satisfy legalities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowl. Anyone else? Yes. Mr. Mata? Good evening and welcome.
Hello, Eric Mata, Canterfield. And I've said this in years past, as a father who took my daughter, I think we'd go twice a week. We had like some kind of annual pass. I saw the joy that brought to her as a toddler, as a young child. And that's my story on this. But, I passed the aquarium, and I think we all have for years, and you see the parking lot full. And, you multiply that times how many visitors they get annually there. I would venture to guess 98, 99% of the visitors there come out satisfied. It's a wonderful experience for their children, for their family. Sure, there's going to be isolated incidents here and there. But, I think they've been a wonderful addition to our community, in more ways than just the revenue they bring into the city. So, again, we hear stories when this comes up, and it's always negative. It's always, bad experiences. But for the bad experiences that might exist, there's probably another 100 or hundreds of experiences that have been wonderful there. So keep that in mind. Okay. And again, I think, as we said, when it came to the pet stores that sell dogs, I always said, bring proof that these animals are sourced from puppy mills or from unethical breeders. No one ever stepped forward with any proof of that, and I'm an animal lover. We've had snakes, we've had multiple dogs. So I think the assertion that somehow if you support these businesses that you're supporting unethical breeders, I think that's wrong. And again, there has not been proof brought forward. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you for those comments, Mr. Mata. Thank you. All right, anyone else? Okay, we have someone in the back coming in. It's okay. Good evening and welcome. If you'll state your name and generally where you reside, please.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Kayla Kerr, Mount Juliet, Tennessee.
Okay. I'm sorry, Haley, right?
Kayla.
Okay, see, I couldn't hear.
Last name is
Kayla,
Kerr,
okay.
K-E-R-R.
K-E-R-R.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
you live here in Bexar County?
No, I've got a pet store here. I'm one of the owners of Puppyland, not to
Okay.
be confused with Petland, but I just
Okay.
wanted to echo what he said over here
Okay.
is that not all pet stores are bad actors. So I appreciate you guys working so hard on this. I know that you've had a lot of outreach to you, and I know that it's a really difficult, decision. All of us pet store owners are animal lovers. That's how we got into this. We care about where our puppies come from. For us specifically, we are very transparent with who our breeders are. They're all on our website prior to customers coming in store. We follow the current ordinances that you guys have. We genuinely care about our customers and our puppies. And I just wanted to say thank you guys for tonight.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Kerr. Do appreciate it. All right. Yes. Mr. Bradshaw. Good evening and
Hello.
welcome.
Mayor and council. I just wanted to kind of echo what Mr. Mata said about the aquarium. you know, we have some people here obviously that don't like the aquarium, that come from out of state, that come, you know, from all over the place to try and their goal is to shut it down, right? All animals need to be out in the wild, free. And I get that. I get that. I love nature. I love nature. I love going outdoors, hiking, seeing animals and stuff as well. But this experience you get to see these animals up close and to learn from them and the science that we can gain. And it's interesting here. It's right here, you know, in our backyard. And Google has Google reviews. I was just looking at 4.1 stars, you know, not 5, right? Mm-hmm. But that takes into account all the people who want to just go in there and trash the place and say, oh, they're terrible, evil people that have never been there. They're going to leave a review, right? So 4.1 stars, 11,375 reviews. It's quite a bit. And then, you know, the thing with the Google now is it does a little AI caption of what people say about it. So the summary is, visitors say the aquarium offers a unique interactive experience with animals including stingrays, lemurs, kangaroos, penguins, and turtles, and they praise the stingray feeding. They also highlight the friendly and knowledgeable staff, the clean and well-maintained environment, and the educational value for children. That's what I would say is it's just very educational and good for families and kids to be able to see these animals up close that, you know, they're not native to Texas, a lot of them. And, you know, as far as dangerous animals, I saw the list, you know, they don't have tigers and bears and stuff, but, you know, a turtle can bite too, right? And you can say, oh, it's dangerous. So,
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bradshaw. All right. Anyone else? Mr. Hefner? Welcome back and good evening.
I can only speak for my own personal experience
Sure.
and my family's. We visited the aquarium. We love it. We've been to SeaWorld. We love it. I will say recently, our family is a foster family, and one of our foster sons was allergic to dogs. And we didn't have an option to go to a shelter. And so I understand the desire to say, well, you can only get a dog if it's from a shelter, or you can only get a dog if it's a rescue because we've got to, you know, control the pet population. Our family couldn't afford these designer dogs, right? We just couldn't. We were very blessed that a trainer of alert dogs here in the city had a relationship with a breeder who very graciously donated a dog to our family. That's a golden doodle, hypoallergenic. It's the only dog, practically the only dog that we could have. And the concern I have with today's proposed amendment, I know we've heard a lot of other concerns. My concern is this is an intrusion where the government is stepping in a place they don't need to. The free market will decide. If the young lady who her son was injured goes to the aquarium, maybe they don't go to the aquarium anymore. Maybe they go somewhere else that's got a better safety record. Maybe there's other alternatives. But the free market will decide that. This body does not need to step in and dictate who can and can't visit an attraction, who can and can't buy a puppy from where and when, right? Otherwise, it takes options away from families like ours who may not have an option otherwise. My daughter loves dogs and is working with this breeder. She's 10 years old, but trainer. She's 10 years old, but she knows that she wants to train alert dogs for people as a living. And I think that's awesome that she has that opportunity. My concern is when we start having these good intentions, we start passing laws down to subsections that until you read them, like, people don't understand how these laws get enforced. Our law enforcement is already overworked. Is this the best use of our time?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hefner. All right. All right. Anyone else like to comment on this 7.1 animal ordinance? Okay. So, do we need to restate the motion, or we have a motion and a second to, is there any amendments or changes or anything, or we're going to go with the
I have no
original?
modifications to my
All right,
motion.
very good. I just wanted to clarify that. All right, so just to restate, we have a motion by Counselor Campos and a second by Counselor Orozco to approve 7.1 as written with the removal of section 2.01027 pet shop requirements, subsection I through K. And would we like to take a roll call vote? Let's do that. Very important.
Place 1, Ms. Bolton? Yes. Place 2, Ms. Heil?
Yes.
Place 3, Mr. Campos?
Aye.
Place 4, Mr. Orozco?
Yes.
Place 5, Ms. Marsh?
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries unanimously, 5 ayes and no nays. Okay, thank you all very much. We really appreciate you being here this evening. Okay.
Mayor,
Yes,
I'd like to see if my colleagues would entertain moving 7.4 and 7.5 up to the front.
Okay.
That way we can take care of this business
Okay.
with
Okay, and we have
SUP.
public hearings on both of those. Okay, we will do that. There's no objection from my colleagues? Okay, so at approximately 7:32, we will take 7.4 next, and let me read that agenda item, please. Presentation and a public hearing and discussion of approving a specific use permit request to allow professional aesthetic clinic offering advanced aesthetic treatments in a B2 retail district on approximately 1.03 acre of land located at 6502 Bandera Road, Suite 201, and more specifically described as CB 4429A, Block 8, Lot 6, Seneca Estates, Unit 9. This is our first read, and so that means we will not vote on it, but we will address it at our next council meeting, which is on August the 18th, and then decide if we want to put it in the consent agenda at the end of this presentation. And Michael Gallardo is under the weather this evening, is what I understand, so Dr. Caldera will substitute in for him. Thank you and welcome.
Good
Do
evening, Mayor and
appreciate it.
Council. So please bear with me as I go through Mr. Gallardo's presentation. But essentially, City Council is being asked to consider an ordinance for an SUP to allow a professional aesthetic clinic offering advanced aesthetic treatments in a B2 retail zoning district on approximately 1.03 acres of land located at 6502 Bandera. You can either approve, deny, or a combination of of this request, and the SUP is compatible with the surrounding zoning. Oops, excuse me. This is just the excerpt of the permitted use table. This is the location of the property. It is located in the old executive building at Seneca and Bandera. For those of you that don't know, Justin Rodriguez's office used to be there. So that's how I make the location in my mind.
And the city council offices used to be there
Yes,
while we
for a
were
little bit.
undergoing renovation.
Renovations, yes, ma'am. But because there is a residential area that is behind this location, we need to come and request an SUP. This again is the surrounding zoning. It's B2, but here's the residential area. The master plan on Bandera Road South Corridor is comprised of retail and commercial users on developed lots, and the request is compatible with the city's master plan. The existing structure complies with the code requirements and the building permits required prior to construction. Oops. Notifications were sent out. 16 were mailed. 1 was received in favor, 0 in opposition, and 1 was received undeliverable. Fiscal impact, the applicant has paid all the fees, and the development will increase ad valorem property tax by filling up the vacancy. The recommendation from the staff has no objections to this SUP. And I think the
Do we have-
applicant is here.
Do we have the
Oh,
applicant here?
there he is. So if you have
Oh,
any
All
questions.
right. Good evening. Come on up. Yes. And could you state your name and just generally where you reside, and welcome.
Good evening, ladies and
Yes.
gentlemen. My name is Travis Zyman. I reside in Bear County. Zyman is spelled Sierra, Zulu, Yankee, Mike, Alpha, November. In full transparency, I'm not the business owner. I'm here on their behalf. She's unable to be here due to work obligations. I'm happy to answer any questions or concerns to the best of
Okay.
my ability.
So you're representing the
Yes, ma'am.
business owner. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Counselor Campos, did you have something that you
I
would
just
like
wanted to add for my colleagues that this item was presented to the commissioners of the planning and zoning, and they approved this unanimously.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that. We appreciate it. All
Yep.
right, yes, you have a question for the
Thank you, Mayor.
applicant?
I was here during the planning and zoning, just this is, the injections that are done, are they done by registered nurses?
Yes, sir. Excellent
And
question.
is it only registered nurses? Because
I worked in the medical field for 38 years, and it trickles down to the point where you say, hey, you know what, I'm kind of busy, let's let the clerk do it, you know, and they get so good at it that they know what's going on. I just want to see how is it controlled that only a qualified medical person does this?
Yes, sir. Excellent question. Excuse me, both nurses on staff are registered nurses. There's no clerks that are going to be involved. I'm the only exception in that matter in the sense of I help with administrative duties. The way that it's controlled to ensure that nurses are conducting the care is through appointments only. So there's not going to be any walk-ins where there's going to be an influx of clients.
So you won't be over, okay. And who oversees that? Do you get checked by the state of Texas, or how does somebody go in and inspect you, or who makes sure that you're doing your job correctly?
Yes, sir. Excellent question. So there is a medical director oversight as far as who comes in to do the checks and balances, for lack of better words. I'm unfamiliar with that process. However, I do know that the medical director is very strict on ensuring compliance.
Okay, yeah, I'm okay with that. I just had some questions, you know.
Yes, sir.
And when y'all start doing hair transplants, let them know.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yes, Counselor Heil.
Is the medical director an MD?
Yes, ma'am. The medical director's.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We do have a public hearing. That means we want to hear from our residents and guests in the chambers this evening. And so let me open up for their comment at 7:38 and welcome any comments on this particular agenda item. Yes, Mr. Mata.
Just wanted to say, as Councilman Campos said and Councilman Orozco, this came to the Planning and Zoning Committee, and I think we questioned them, and they satisfied our inquiries. So I think they gave a very good professional presentation. So thank you.
Thank you for those added comments. Do appreciate it. Okay, anything else? Okay, if not, I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:39 and ask my colleagues the disposition on August 18th. Where would you like this
I would like
agenda?
to put on the consent agenda.
Okay.
If my
Is that
colleagues,
everybody? Okay, very good. So we'll put it in the consent agenda. Thank you. Really appreciate it and welcome. We will approve the final application on August the 18th through consent agenda. Okay, thank you. Do appreciate it. Then we move then to 7.5, presentation, public hearing, and discussion of approving a specific use permit request to allow a provider-led wellness and aesthetic clinic offering advanced aesthetic treatments in a B2 retail district on approximately 2.24 acre tract of land located at 5903 Wurzbach Road, Suite 106, and more specifically described as CB 4429A, Block 4, Lot 29, Crystal Lake Commercial. And again, this is our first read, so we will not vote on it tonight, but we'll decide if it goes into the consent agenda on August the 18th. And we do have a public hearing as well on this. So Dr. Caldera, if you'll continue, please. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
evening.
This will look like a little bit of deja vu, but it's a similar type business, different address. The City Council is being asked to consider an ordinance for a specific use permit to allow the provider-led wellness and aesthetic clinic offering advanced aesthetic treatments in a B2 retail zoning district on approximately 2.24 acres of land located at 5309 Wurzbach Road, 106. You can approve, deny, or other. The SUP is compatible with surrounding zoning. The property is zoned B2. The applicant does specialize in advanced cosmetic injectables, and the property holds similar businesses that promote goods and services which are appropriate for the surrounding district. This is allowed by the permitted use table. This is the location on the map. Here it is here, and as you can see, it does abut a little bit of residential. On the backside, see the R1. That's why it's having to come before you today. The master plan, again, Bandera Road South Corridor is comprised of retail and commercial users on the developed lots. The request is compatible with the city's master plan. The existing structure complies with the required code. The building permit requires prior to construction. 15 letters were mailed out. None were received in favor and opposition. 1 letter was received undeliverable. All fees have been paid, and this could increase ad valorem property tax. Staff has no objections to the issuance of this SUP. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Do we have the applicant here as well?
I don't see her.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
All right. Then let me go ahead still and, did you want to add about the?
I'm sorry, I
I'm sorry.
apologize. Michael is not here today, and so sometimes applicants will send him like, hey, got
delayed
Did
or
what-
yes,
whatever,
exactly.
yeah,
Because
I-
they usually are here.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I
Yes,
appreciate that. And Mr. Campos, you're a
I-
liaison to the zoning commission, so would
Right,
you
I also
please
want to
report?
notify my colleagues that this did go to the planning and zoning commissioners. They did approve it unanimously. They did have quite a few questions, as we've heard from the audience, and was approved again unanimously.
Okay, thank you. We do need a public hearing, so at this time, 7:40, oh, I'm sorry, I did not see your hand. Counselor Mersch.
I guess I just have questions about the language being used, a provider-led. So I'd be interested to know what kind of provider. Is it being led by an MD? Is it being led by a nurse practitioner or?
So no, they have to have an RN in order to do injectables. So at the zoning commission, they were asked the same questions that Mr. Orozco asked this previous individual. And so they are RNs, and they do have a medical director as well.
And what are the wellness treatments separately from the injectables?
So
and
it's
stuff?
face masks, like the chemical peels, that kind of stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate those questions, Ms. Mersch. Okay, 7:43, we'll open up the public hearing. And do we have any comments on this particular agenda item? Okay, seeing none, then we'll close the public hearing at 7:43. And what is the direction of the council for the August 18th meeting? Councilor
Mayor,
Campos.
I'd like to suggest to my colleagues that we put this on the consent agenda.
Okay, any objections? Okay, it will go to the consent agenda. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, any other changes in the order of we've kind of taken all of these, all right. So if not, then we'll go back to the top of the agenda. Yes. Mr. Orozco, did you want to take your agenda item next? Okay, we might as well, since we have people here.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
From a logistics standpoint, your consent agenda, you have to get to your consent agenda, so you read your consent agenda, approve your consent agenda with removing that item.
Yes, that's what
So
I was
just
going to do.
don't move to
Right,
the item.
yeah, that's what I was going to do. So I just wanted to be sure that you wanted to take that one next. So, thank you. Okay, so we'll move, our next agenda will be agenda item number 6, the consent agenda, and we have agenda items 6.1, 2, 3, and 4. And my understanding is agenda item 4, Mr. Orozco would like removed for discussion. So may I have a motion and a second to approve consent agenda 6.1 through 6.3?
I move that we approve consent agenda 6.1, 6.2, and 6.3 as written.
All right. All right, we have a motion by Counselor Mersch and second by Counselor Bolton to approve consent agenda items 6.1 through 6.3 as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. As per Counselor Orozco's request, we move 6.4 next for discussion. Discussion and possible action on amending ordinance Chapter 4, Business Regulations, Article 4.14, short-term rental to expand prohibition from 200 feet on the same block face to 300-foot radius, establishing occupancy standards to maximum floor area allowance per occupant at 200 gross, not allowing permits to be transferable, require that any trash dispersed beyond property boundaries be collected, removed, and disposed of within 24 hours. We did have a first read on the 21st of July, and so this is our second read, and we are able to vote on it tonight.
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Caldera, if you'll continue, please.
So good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
So the biggest change in this ordinance was removing the homestead exemption clause.
Right.
Per the conversation at the last council meeting. So on June 6th, the city council directed the staff to address the following changes, which is expand the radius, reduce the trash violation, have a max number of sleep based on the fire code, have the permit be non-transferable, and if a grandfathered permit is pulled, it would be abandoned. And so, in speaking, just for the record, in speaking with the city attorney, this ordinance wouldn't apply to the pre-existing short-term rentals.
So
This would
people
only
who already have a short-term rental.
correct would
are
operate
grandfathered.
under
Okay.
whatever ordinance they had at the time
Okay.
their property was deemed a short-term
This
rental.
is only any future
Correct.
new short-term rentals.
There
Okay.
was a couple of questions that were asked in regards to when it comes time to renew my registration, will the new rules apply? And the answer to that is, according to the city attorney, is no, that would not. They would still fall under the pre-existing ordinance. The other question that came up is, since the fire code was done in 2021, would the new fire code provision in this apply to those short-term rentals? And because of the application of the 2021 fire code being used in this provision, it would not. So they fall completely under the original ordinance. This ordinance would not apply.
Okay.
This would only apply to new short-term rentals.
New short-term rentals.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good, thank you. Any questions for Dr. Cordero? Any
Well, I
comments?
just wanted
Yes.
to explain why I pulled it.
Okay.
As most of you know me, I knew that the existing ones were grandfathered in. I have always given everybody an opportunity to speak, even though I may not agree with what they're doing or what they're saying, but I like to have an opinion. I have changed my mind sometimes after listening to some people talk, but I think it's more important to allow our citizens to speak on issues that's important to them.
Very good. Any other comments from the council? Okay, so then we will open it up for comments from our citizens and guests in the chambers, please. Mr. Hefner, welcome back and good evening.
Thank you, and thank you,
Yes.
Councilor Roscoe. I really appreciate that you always welcome voices, whether they're in agreement or dissenting, so I appreciate that. Dr. Caldera, I just want to clarify and reserve my time, but you said that a pre-existing ordinance would apply, the pre-existing ordinance would apply at the time of any renewal for as long as a current operator does not allow that to lapse. Is that correct?
That is correct. So my understanding from the attorney is anybody that's registered and has a current permit, right, the old ordinance would apply to those
As long as they keep it open.
as long as they keep
So
it
it's
open.
a 2-year renewal, 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years from now, as long as you keep it open, you're continually operating.
Correct, that's
Okay.
his.
I appreciate that clarity, and I assume this public meeting becomes part of the record. So just quick note, and that took about 30 seconds, so. There are 4 pieces of this that I just wanted to call out. 2 of them are pretty legally defensible, so I want to applaud the council for being thoughtful. That's the 200 square foot requirement. I don't know how you're going to enforce it. The 24-hour trash cleanup, I don't know how you're going to enforce it. Like, are we having police officers go into people's homes, measure the square footage, determine how many people are allowed? How is this applying equally to other homeowners? Am I allowed, if I only have an 1,800 square foot home and am I only allowed to have 9 guests over for Easter? Like, that seems very difficult to square, but according to the current law, it sounds defensible. The one that I wanted to call out in particular that is concerning is the 300-foot radius, and here's why. According to recent census data, Leon Valley has a population density of about 3,300 people per square mile. At that density, a 300-foot radius covers about 6.5 acres. Our city's only 3.47 square miles. That's a substantial portion of any area. In particular, I know Mr. Campos lives in the Adair, Countess Adria neighborhood. That neighborhood's very different than my neighborhood on Sundial, which is backs up right to each other. In his neighborhood, they have half-acre lots. In our neighborhood, we have like 1/10 of an acre lot, or 0.15 acre lot. So very different character, but that 300-foot radius now extends. And so I know it seems like a very small change to go from 200-foot block face to 300-foot radius, but the impact it's exponential. So I would respectfully request that the council consider revising this to, if you want to keep it 300 foot, fine, keep it 300 foot. Do it on block face instead of on radius, please. The trash regulations, I'm not sure how we're going to possibly enforce that. How do you know whose trash it is? Unless it's a piece of paper mail that has their name and address on it and it floats across the road, there's really no way to know whose trash is what. You know, my recommendation to my neighbors would be the same thing I do. When my biggest neighbor, Marshall High School, decides to have trash float down the river every time it rains, we pick it up, right? That's what a good neighbor does. So that would be my request. The last request I'll make, and I appreciate the
we gave
council's
you another
indulgence.
minute.
The last request I would make is that we explicitly state in the ordinance the grandfathering piece, as opposed to just relying on that being part of the conversation in this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, anyone else? Okay. No other comments on the short-term rental? All right, Mr. Orozco, did you?
Well, I
Have
think
any
I had a
further
good
discussion?
point. Well,
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't see Mr. Mata's hand. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Mr. Mata, go ahead, please. Thank you and welcome back.
Sorry, I'm kind of shy like that. Yeah, in regards to this, as I've said in the past, my concern is, you know, and I'm not implicating you guys as a council for, you know, consciously trying to take us back in time. But, you know, again, there was a time that we were embroiled in a lot of litigation. And I recall a council meeting, I don't know, what was it, 5 months ago when this first came up. And you guys were advised by our city attorney to maybe not go this extreme. And so, you know, there's a lot of things that I've spoken up for and defended that really didn't affect me personally. I mean, when I first got involved, I was defending the mayor and others who were on council who I really didn't know before this, you know. So I don't have an Airbnb. But again, I just don't want to see the city go down a direction that will end up, you know, embroiled in litigation, you know. And I know in the past, one of the previous city managers was famous for saying, we have insurance for that. There's no reason to abuse that, you know, and I think it just sends a wrong message to the community. So exercise caution and maybe less is more. That's what I'd say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mata. All right, anything else? All right, so what is the pleasure of the council on this agenda item? Yes.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve as presented.
Yes, Councilor Mersch.
I'd like to second the motion to approve as written,
right.
6.4.
All right, thank you. We have a motion by Councilor Campos and a second by Councilor Mersch to approve Agenda 6.4 on the short-term rentals as presented. Any further discussion? Yes, Councilor Campos.
I do want to take into consideration that we do make it very explicit about the grandfathering. If that's not explicit in here.
Do we need to amend that motion?
Yes, so you would
Okay.
have to amend your motion to approve as presented with that amendment.
Okay, I want to withdraw my original motion.
Can you withdraw yours, Ms. Bursch? Okay.
I want to withdraw my
Okay, very
second.
good. Okay, and if you'll please restate your motion.
And if I
please.
could say that we want to, I want to make a motion to approve agenda item 6.4 as written with a modification of being very explicit about the grandfathering issue.
Okay. And do I have a second? Yes.
I'd like to second the motion on agenda item 6.4, again with the modification that it includes explicit language about grandfathering current short-term rentals that were prior to these changes.
Okay, very good. So we have a motion by Councilor Campos and a second by Councilor Mersch to approve Agenda 6.4 as presented with a modification with being explicit about the grandfathering language. Is that any further discussion? Yes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilor
One of the things that
Orozco.
was brought up by Jed was that how are we going to enforce this? How it's not stipulated in the ordinance, how are we going to force this? How are we going to force about the trash? And you got a good point. Whatever you do have a celebration there, a birthday or what do you say, Easter, you have 9 or 10 people there. How is it that we're going to enforce this? And I like to see, I'm okay with the ordinance, I just like to see that written there. I'd like to table this until we get all this defined in there. But that's just the way I feel about it, because how are we going to enforce this?
Okay, all right. So Counselor Mersch, and then I'll ask Dr. Caldera to address that.
I don't know that any of our ordinances explicitly state how we're going to enforce them, so I don't think this one should be any different. I do think that it specifically says about sleeping the number of people, so if you have a party or whatever with people who are not sleeping there, then the occupancy rules are different. They're not related to how many people happen to be there for a meal or whatever. So I think we're trying to find problems that don't exist, and I think we should leave it the way it is.
Okay. Anyone else? Dr. Caldera, do you want to address that point?
So, you know, in kind of brainwashing this with staff, our thought more so was just to include it on the application. And so they would have to say what they're going to advertise their short-term rental for. So if they say they're going to advertise for 14, Michael or his staff, before they issue the permit, would do the calculation to determine what the max number of people that will be allowed to sleep. The trash is a little bit more difficult. You just report it for code, and code would go out. Our idea here for code compliance has always been compliance first, and so it's more of just going up to the door and asking them to please pick up the trash. Now, I guess if there's refusal to pick up the trash, then yes, it would be our duty to determine if we issued a citation to defend it in court. Lately, those have been dismissed because of lack of evidence. I mean, we have to prove that the trash actually came from that trash can, and so it does make it a little bit more difficult to do that. But the residents I know that are around that particular area have taken video of trash flying out of trash cans, and so if they submit that video would go as part of evidence to the court if a citation was issued. But other than that, yes, it would be a little bit problematic on enforcing blown trash in the neighborhood.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anyone else on the council? All right, we do have a motion and a second on an amended motion. Well, oh, I'm sorry. I thought we had finished, but that's okay. I'd let Mr. Bradshaw.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay.
I just wanted clarification.
Sure,
So I was
go
reading the text of the ordinance, and here, and it says, establishing occupancy standards to maximum floor area allowance per occupant at 200 gross. So that's where, I don't know if in the ordinance it says for the people staying there, as Dr. Caldera said, or the way this says is occupancy, right? Like, so if I have a 1,200 square foot house and I have 6 people staying there, that's your max. And if I have the Hefners over for dinner, I violated it now, and now I can be shut down, right? Like, that's what I don't know. Like I said, this is just what's on the agenda packet. I don't know if in the actual ordinance, if it says that. So if you could clarify.
Yeah, I thought it was sleeping. That's what I thought too.
Yeah, I mean,
not people visiting. That's what I always understood. But Dr. Caldera, go
Yes, I
ahead.
would have to pull up the actual ordinance itself, and we can certainly do that here if you'd like. If not, I can just ensure that it says sleeps in the ordinance itself, if council's okay with that.
Okay, all right. Is that the?
Mayor,
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry.
We've got the city attorney, okay, from on high. Okay,
The-
yes,
the
Mr.
ordinance
Rodriguez, go
actually-
ahead.
The ordinance actually says overnight occupancy.
Oh, it says overnight. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that clarification. Okay, great. All right, so with that clarification, with the motion a second, let's take a roll call vote, please. Thank you.
Council Place 1, Ms. Bolton? Aye. Council Place 2, Ms. Heil? Aye. Council Place 3, Mr. Campos?
Aye.
Council Place 4, Mr. Orozco?
Yes.
Council Place 5, Ms. Mersch?
Okay, the motion does carry unanimously, 5 ayes and no nays. Okay, thank you all very much. Really appreciate you being here, and thank you for your comments. Okay, so do we have, now that we've got people that have been sitting since 6:30, do we have anyone for agenda item 7.6 on the noise? I thought maybe we had somebody from, Yes.
So he got held, he did email me. They were supposed to be here this evening,
Uh-huh.
but they got held up.
Okay, so they got held up. Okay. Go ahead.
So can we move this until he comes up, or is he coming out tonight?
No. So their request is to start because it's summertime. I mean, y'all can hear it. You don't have to pass it. I just have to bring the variance forth, whether they're here or not. It doesn't matter.
Okay,
The
I
variance
thought
is
maybe
still
somebody
requested.
was in the chambers.
No.
For,
However, I made sure that we put in agreement timelines, and so it seemed like we just had this one like
I know,
yesterday, but
3
it's been
years have
3
gone
years.
by really
Yes, ma'am.
fast.
And so, should the council award the contract for building inspection to BB Inspection, you can either approve, deny, or other. Staff recommends approval. August of 2026, the contract for the current building inspector was set to expire, so staff went out for RFPs. The consideration is to approve awarding the highest qualified company. We did a request for proposals. We advertised on the city page, the Echo, the Express News. We sent out invitation letters. The submittal deadline was July the 7th, and we received 4 submittals. They received from BB Inspection, Bureau Veritas, Burgess Municipal Services, and Wilden from Plano. This was the scoring kind of criteria. The evaluation score, Michael selected 3 people, and to be honest with you, I don't know who the 3 department directors were that assisted him with the scoring. They unanimously picked BB Inspections, and these are their proposed rates. This is the breakdown of the proposed rates for the other businesses, and as you can see, for the majority of what we do here, they felt BB Inspections was still in line in regards to cost and quality of service. And so staff recommends awarding the contract for building inspection services to BB Inspections, and to authorize me to negotiate the contract for a 5-year term this time.
okay. All right. And how long have we had BB inspections prior to this?
Longer than I've been here
Yeah,
because
it's
we
been-
had Bruce forever.
Yeah.
So we've been with BB Inspections for many years. I don't know if BJ can answer that. How long have we been? Since the 90s? Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there you go.
And you must be doing a good job for us to keep you that long. Okay, very good. Would you like to come up and say anything about the process and what you?
Yeah, no, we
Yeah.
love the city of Leon Valley.
BJ.
We didn't change anything as far as pricing goes. Our
Mhm.
our process for inspections.
Okay.
As Crystal said, Michael's wanted to keep status quo because I think everything's going great. So
Mhm.
I didn't want to change a thing.
Mhm.
But do y'all have any questions for me?
So you're inspecting all these new homes?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, all
So
the
that's it.
residential and the
Uh-huh.
commercial
Right.
inspections and plan
So you're
reviews.
really busy these
We've gotten
days.
really busy these
Yeah.
past couple of years.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay.
a few new neighborhoods.
Okay, well, very good. All right, yes, Counselor Campos.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but there recently have been some complaints in some of the newer neighborhoods that the meter boxes were installed higher than the sidewalk. So is that part of your inspection service? How does that work?
We don't do the final acceptance of the streets. We do a pre-pour for the approach and we enforce the requirements for the apron, but there is a final acceptance of the streets from the city. It's kind of twofold. One is the city engineer to make sure that that stuff doesn't happen. There's also the registered accessibility specialist for the development to make sure, because the biggest complaint or issue with that is the accessibility, the ADA.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think there was a fix for that to flush it up. To get to the technical aspects, you're allowed to have a 1/4 inch. It's kind of like a threshold, a 1/2 inch beveled or a 1/4 inch offset. So all you have to do is bring those meter boxes down, but that's something that would be caught before the final acceptance of the streets.
Okay, but this, again, I don't know if they've shared some pictures, but this was not in the street. These are
Sidewalks.
water meters, boxes, okay, in the residential part of the property. And again, I just recently used your company's services and I was very impressed, okay, to say that. Okay, I had a situation with a natural gas leak in my property, had to go through a permit process and inspection, and I was very satisfied with what y'all are doing. So I just want to relay that to you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think we came to a solution for it, but yeah, we need to flush up those boxes for sure.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
So what you're referring to was a city.
Citizen
it wa-
complaint.
It was a citizen complaint, but the city is the one that put in those meter boxes. We
Oh,
did that.
really? Oh,
Yes.
okay.
And so we went back and we fixed our meter boxes. We lowered them. And then the contractor came back, or I don't know if they have yet, came back and supposed to fix the concrete around those meter boxes.
About cement being poured in at 4 o'clock in the morning versus during the daytime where it is hot.
At 7.
And the way the cement cures. Now, is that a valid concern to do it in a cooler time of the day than in the heat?
Absolutely. Yeah, you start adding a lot of water to it, you have problems. We had a house that they had to start over on because the concrete didn't cure properly. I mean, you could hit it with a hammer and it was soft. So as far as how much water you add and what time of the day is the best time, an engineer would be the best person to speak to that. But if I was building my house, I don't want to pour a foundation when it's over 100 degrees. It goes on both sides too. The other side of that coin is 40 degrees and rising. You don't want it to be too cold. So you want it to be right in the middle. But if it's really, really hot, you got to add a lot of water to it and you got to wet it down after it's done.
Well, thank you so much. It kind of leads me on that next agenda item, where to go with that. I really appreciate the insight.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions for BJ and BB inspections? Okay. So what is the pleasure of the council?
Consent agenda, please.
For the consent agenda to approve. Oh, yes. Counselor, I see I'm still calling you Counselor. Mr. Bradshaw, it's hard to, okay. No, thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't ask for,
sorry,
who would like
yeah.
to weigh in on it? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Is is this BB inspections you guys based in Spring Branch?
Yes.
Is that correct?
It's your Bulverde Spring Branch.
Yeah, okay. Like if I were to hire a plumber, if I were to hire a mechanic, if I was gonna do any yard work, nowadays, what do? You Google it, you look them up, you see how people rate them, review them, right? So I just looked up BB inspections, 2.2 stars. Most recent review, 3 weeks ago. The inspector passed the inspection without actually doing it. The contractor notified me it had passed by text message. I responded that the inspector didn't show up. The contractor sent me the past inspection report, and I responded that the inspector passed it without doing the inspection. There's only 6 reviews, to be fair. Second one, I'm updating my review from 1 star to 4 stars. I say that last year they've gotten much better and that their customer service, I hope they continue the good work. The next one, terrible, lack of common sense as a plumbing inspector. Wish the state would get more involved with inspectors making their own codes. Third-party plumbing inspectors should be outlawed. If the municipality can inspect, then, I'm not reading the whole thing. The next one, wholly incompetence Batman. Just wow. Took them 4 weeks to deny a permit, and they denied, claiming it was too close to the foundation. The foundation is 20 feet away. And then another one, poor communication, 1 star. And then the last one was 5 stars with no comments. So I'm not saying that they don't know what they're doing, but you would think a company that's been around for such a long time would have good, positive reviews. So that's all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Any other? Yes, Counselor Campos.
So, Dr. Caldera, I really appreciate the solicitation of these services. I do have some edits for the contract for this one and the
health inspection?
Right. And so, it's related to insurance. This company does travel to all these sites. There's no requirement for auto insurance coverage. There's some general liability, but I think there may be, and there's some errors and omission, but I don't know whether or not this qualifies for professional liability type insurance. And then for this particular service in this contract, it says that they need to show up, Monday through Friday unless otherwise requested. But there's no price for, okay, well, what does that cost? And then is that cost, hopefully it would be borne by whoever's requesting. So for example, and as I mentioned, there was a gas leak, and we had to finish this by Thursday at 3 o'clock so that the inspector could come on Friday, okay? And if it didn't, it'd have to wait till Monday. Okay, well, you know, I don't really need the gas other than for hot water at the moment. But if you're in the dead of winter, I think there needs to be some provision in there for that and a price associated for this special expedited service. So, and there are some other changes, and I have them all documented here that you can see them.
Yes, so if you just send those to me, I'll be happy to take a look at them and send them to the city attorney for review. Do you have any? Sure.
Yeah, we do offer those services. We call them emergency inspections, heat, hot water, that's an emergency. If somebody's not available to go to your site, the State Board of Plumbing Examiners did approve remote virtual inspections a few years ago. So worst case scenario, you can do them virtually, but we currently do them if we have to. So if that's something we need to add to the contract, or if I need to provide a price for it, I will, but it's already something we're doing.
I just wanted to make it clear in the contract document. That way, there's no guesswork. We've already come to the agreement on the terms. That's all I'm.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I just didn't want y'all to think that because it wasn't in the contract, we won't do it. We will do it, and we have done it. And the remote virtual inspections is not something that we solicit or push, but it's a last case resort that the State Board of Plumbing Examiners did approve 3 years ago. They did a whole continuing ed session on it.
Okay. Okay, so do we want to still put it in the consent, or do we want to review these changes at the next council meeting?
If they're
I just don't
administrative,
know.
yeah, if they're
If they're just
administrative
administrative, fine.
changes, then you can put it on consent, but if they've got changes to price or something like that, then.
Mr. Campos, I don't know what your changes are. but-
I think they're administrative
Okay.
changes.
I can send them all out to you when they're done, and if you have questions, then you can make a determination of whether or not you want to.
We can put it on the consent,
And
but
if
if you
anybody
want to pull it, we
you can pull
can.
it.
Okay,
Yes,
let's do it that way. Okay, thank you. Really appreciate it. Okay, then moving on to agenda, yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Mr. Hefner. And good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Council, the only question I would have, the status quo is a 3-year term. My question would be why extend it to 5? 3 tracks more closely with the frequency that we update our code, tracks more with not encumbering a future council to a particular provider, tracks more with keeping up with market rates. I don't understand why we would extend that out of what, like not wanting to have to do this thing once every 3 years. So I think it puts our city in a better position to not lock in a vendor for 5 years.
Okay, all right. Yes, sir. Councilor Campos.
There's always a provision in these contracts that if something changes and we need to terminate, we have 30 days notice that we can terminate. So it's not like it locks anybody in to anything. So
Michael's recommendation was 5, it was his and the panel's recommendation. They just felt like 3 years came quicker than they thought, I guess. I don't have an issue with 3 years. I was the one that had started kind of implementing the 3-year rule on a lot of our contracts because we had a lot of evergreen contracts. But it's at the pleasure of the council. Staff doesn't have heartburn at 3 or 5.
Well, but the BJ's locked into those prices for 5 years, correct? Or is there a provision for him to increase his rates over the 5 years?
I don't
I'm
think that
just-
there's a provision
No,
in there for
there's
increase.
Yeah, so, I mean, anyway, what do y'all want? It's up to the council if you want to change that from 5 years to 3 years or leave it at the
I
recommended 5 years.
think it's fine to leave it at the recommended 5 years, especially if we have a option to out if there's problems or the quality deteriorates or something else.
Okay, all right. Anyone else feel that way?
I'm okay
Yes,
with
go
5
ahead.
years, as long as we have that stipulation that we can always go back if something doesn't go right.
Okay. Okay, very good. Okay, so we'll put it on the consent agenda and we'll keep it at 5 years.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right, thank you so much. Do appreciate it. Moving then to agenda 7.5, presentation, 7.3, presentation, discussion, and possible action on an ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter in an agreement with BB Inspection Service LLC for health inspection services, different from the inspection above. And this, again, is our first reading, so we will not have a vote, but we can decide where it goes on the next agenda on August the 18th. Dr. Caldera, thank you for being here, and please continue.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. So the question, should the city award the contract to Health Inspection Sanitations to BB Inspections, approve, deny, or other? Staff does recommend approval. In August, the contract for the current health inspector is set to expire. To consider approving an ordinance awarding the highest qualified company to provide city's health and sanitation inspections, and authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with BB Inspections. Request for proposals, the city sent out and put the RFQ on June 3rd on the city website, and the Echo and the Express News. We sent out 6 letters for invitation to bid. The submittal deadline was July 7th at 5 p.m. There was a total of 2 submittals. The 2 submittals were BB Inspection and our current health inspection, Steve Borowski. This was the criteria. Oops. 3 of the staff members ranked the proposals, and BB Inspections came out on top. The fiscal impact, the staff did note that there was an increase in comparison to our current rates. The reason for their selection, I think, had to do a lot with some current issues I think the staff has been having with our current health inspector. If you were on council at the time, last time this came up, staff made a recommendation to go with BB Inspections at that time. The council went ahead and decided to stay with Stephen at that time as well. The same issues that a previous director has stated with that, with this health inspector, this new director is stating about the health inspector. And so, we've been with Steve for a really long time. I think it's just technology, how long we take with things, what we consider expeditious response for certain things. And so that has been the information that the staff has provided me. And one of the big reasons why they're asking to go with a different health inspection. And since we only had 2 providers bid on us, that was kind of the direction that the staff wanted to take. So again, staff recommends awarding the contract for the health inspection and to authorize me to enter into negotiations. And that concludes the presentation.
Okay. And how long had Stephen had the contract prior to this?
Since Christy Ford. So in my review of the contracts, we found that back when we did the contract 3 years ago, that a contract really hadn't existed for Mr. Borowski since, I don't know, the early 2000s. I mean, it was like a 1-pager. There wasn't a real contract. And I think there's been a little bit of adjustment to actually acting different, have different standards. I think we were very amenable. When Steve would go on vacation, we would just kind of postpone inspections, and we would be like, okay, you don't have anybody, you're not going to be in town till next week, we'll just wait. So I think there's been a little bit of an adjustment period of like, well, no, that's not how we're operating now. That was kind of the understanding when Mindy was here. That was her issue, and I think council wanted to give him some time to adjust to those changes. It's been 3 years, and as you can see, I was completely out of the process. The only time I've seen these recommendations or these comments is when I reviewed the item for the packet. And so in my discussions with Michael, he said that he was having some of those similar issues of that kind of communication. And I don't think there's anything wrong with Steve. I've been working with Steve for a really long time. So I'm trying to be very, polite in why the staff made the recommendation that they did.
Okay, very good. Okay, any questions for the manager or BJ, or Stephen is here too? Yes, go ahead.
I'm going to suggest that we go with the staff's recommendation, but I would recommend a 3-year term. Since we're changing who the inspection company is, I think we need to see a track record with them before we go with a 5-year contract. So I would be more in favor with 3-year contract.
All right. Anyone else? Yes, Councilor Heil.
What was the difference in the fees that are being charged?
$25, I think. Can you put up the...
Okay, very good. Thank you. I appreciate it. Did you want to say something? I wanted to give you an opportunity, Steve. And good evening and welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, City Manager. As has been stated, I've been doing inspections for the city of Leon Valley for 16 years. I've been in sanitation for, well, since 1972 in the military. I've been a licensed sanitarian with the state of Texas since I retired from the military, but I've been registered since 1992. Rebecca Vera used to be my employee at the city of San Antonio, and she's very competent inspector, so, you know, not to demean her. So I have over, 1,200 hours in continuing education. I've held Food and Drug Administration credentials for the state of Texas as an inspector. I managed the city of San Antonio Food and Environmental Section for 14 years, worked for the state of Texas, bringing in the FDA food code back in the early 2000s, write numerous interpretations of health laws. As the city manager had said, last time the contract was up, it was, recommended to go to BB inspections. There was a change of contract. Part of the issue was that the past director had said I had refused to use the city's inspection system, which did not happen. Now, I am surprised at the staff's comments about communication issues. Nothing has ever been brought to my attention with communication issues, timeliness issues, nor vacation issues, because if I'm on vacation, I have an alternate who's has login rights to the system, so it's always covered.
Okay, thank you. All right.
So I don't understand the issues there. Anyway, as I mentioned, well qualified, use the city's inspection system. Myself and my assistant have Apple iPads in order to access the system, log in inspections. Any complaints of if it was brought to our attention, try and fix.
Well, I appreciate your clarifying your position, and thank you so much for being here this evening. All right, so the council has heard from yes, Mr. Bradshaw. Welcome back.
Thank you. Sorry, I feel like I'm up here a lot. But first, thank you, Ms. Mersch, for pointing out that the contract, it was 3 years, and now we want to make it 5 with somebody who we've never used before. It reminds me of the whole Tiger fiasco, where we used to do 2 or 3 year contracts with Tiger, and then all of a sudden we did an 8-year contract with Tiger, which was not the bet in our best interest, I don't think. But I would just point out, yes, I was on the council when we decided to keep Steve last time, and the issues were brought up with technology and stuff, and it seems like that's being brought up again, but it sounds like he didn't have any issues of those complaints. So I'd ask to see what those complaints are, see that he was notified of those complaints, if there are complaints. But 2, we're talking about the budget all the time and how we can't afford things. We can't do 4th of July. But here we want to raise inspections by $25 a piece, or every time $25. And maybe we say, well, we pass that on to the citizens anyways. But I don't want to pay $25 more per inspection that I have to get done. And I'm sure all of our citizens won't want to do that either. And then finally, I just looked at each of these gentlemen's profiles up on LinkedIn. Steve has 87 endorsements on LinkedIn. 87 people that vouch. If you know LinkedIn is a professional network, you go in there and you say, oh, I can vouch for this guy, his expertise in this, his skills in this. This gentleman has 0 endorsements. And so that's all I would say about that is, you know, sometimes change isn't always better when you're okay with what we've got.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe
I
Rebecca.
I don't have a
might
I don't
be
have a LinkedIn profile.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I have 40 ICC certs. I have 5. No, that's Bruce Senior. I don't have a LinkedIn profile. So I have 40 ICC certs. I have 5 state licenses. I'm not. Yeah, Rebecca is the registered sanitarian, but yeah, I don't have a LinkedIn profile to have any endorsement.
All right. Thank you. All right, Mr. Mata. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I recall being at the council meeting, I guess 3 years ago when this came up.
I remember that.
And my concern, and I think Crystal remembers this, is there were claims made about Mr. Barshevsky. And I think I happened to say something similar to what Mr. Bradshaw said. Where is there any citations? Is there any documentation of these complaints? And sure enough, some of the claims made about him not being willing to use technology, a computer, ended up being false. And it was a situation where I think Crystal had to acknowledge that there was nothing to back up those claims. Mr. Gallardo has not been here that long, so I don't know that he's had much of a track record with our health inspector. So sometimes I wonder what's going on behind the scenes that causes staff to want to lean a certain way, especially, you know, and it was brought up, you know, they've been doing the building inspections for many years. Why change? Well, I got to wonder, where's the justification of this? I mean, if the city manager is coming forward making these claims, why doesn't she have something to back it up, or from the employees? The other thing I would say is, I think his experience speaks for itself. He's retired military. He's been doing it for the city of San Antonio for many years. Again, I just think it's a little strange how we're going about this. And again, I think Mr. Bradshaw brings up a good point. I mean, do we really want to necessarily saddle our businesses with these price differences? Is that necessary? And again, BB said they're very busy already as it is. Seems like our longtime health inspector here has been dedicated to the city for a long time. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mata. Okay. Any input from the council on this, on what you've heard? Go ahead, Mr. Campos.
I really appreciate all the citizen comments, I really do. I think for me, since Mr. Gallardo is not here, we don't really understand, you know, what those issues are. And maybe we ought to, if we could postpone this item so we could learn more about
Well, this is
it.
a first read, so we can leave it on the regular agenda, and Mr. Gerardo could address those at the next meeting, if you want to.
I'd rather not put it on the next agenda until we hear exactly what those issues were. And, you know, because I want to see how they came up with the scores. I want to see the rationale behind this.
Okay. And any documentation as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my suggestion.
So you want to table it? Is that what you want to do?
I just don't want to put it on the next agenda. We need to have some sort of discussion about this to understand a little bit more about the evaluation. Okay?
Okay. No, I mean, so the contract is.
It's ending. That's
It's ending,
why,
and
yeah.
so, I mean, it's fine, we can stay within those parameters, but.
Usually there's a carryover, right?
Yeah.
In the contract.
Yeah, so so again, I'm not, Mr. Gardo's not the only staff member that had issues with Steve. Roca ran that department as well for a short time and had issues with him as well. So again, I do take after 3 directors in the department are telling me that there's issue with the vendor, maybe not that escalates to a certain degree, but there have issues with the vendor, you know, I have to weigh that.
Sure.
So, you know, again, you know, in meeting with Mr. Gardo, I asked him to add the comments in the PowerPoint, so that way you could see that. But upon his return, I can have him gather such documentation and we can have another conversation. I just don't want to necessarily do that to somebody in public. So,
Okay. Did you want to?
Well, I think we need to have some type of dialogue, whether.
Absolutely, we can
Okay.
certainly do, we can certainly do. I could have more information in the packet. I was just, again, trying to be.
Okay.
So do we make a
Yes.
motion to table this?
No, it's not, it's a first read, so we'll just bring it back when we have all the documentation.
Okay, all right. So we'll just leave it on for the 18th, but not in consent. We'll have another discussion. Is that what I'm hearing? That amenable to all the colleagues? All right. That sounds good. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, thank y'all for being here. All right, so then we'll move then, let's go ahead and move then to 7.6, presentation, discussion, and possible action to consider a temporary variance for Century Communities Senna and 1 and Senna 2 from Chapter 8, Article 8.07, Noise and Sound Level Regulations to allow early morning concrete placement and finishing prior to 7 a.m. when necessary due to weather conditions, public safety, engineering requirements, or other construction-related circumstances. Okay, Dr. Caldera, I know you've been dealing with this issue this week.
So I included the email request, and so we had a meeting with them, I don't know, a few weeks back. They asked that in some cities that they build homes in, that they're allowed to pour either with the building inspector approval, a city manager approval, or some sort of variation of that, allowed to pour earlier than the noise ordinance for that city would allow. And so I told them they would have to submit in writing a request for a variance of the noise ordinance, which they did, and I included it. And it's just, it's the pleasure of the council, whether or not you want to allow them to pour earlier than 7 a.m. I know you have received one complaint from one resident that lives there, that he doesn't want them to pour earlier than 7 a.m. prior to this request coming forward. So it's completely, it doesn't have, they're requesting 4 a.m., but you could select a different time if you so choose. And then if you want to add a notification provision in there, you can certainly do that as well.
How noisy? Is this the concrete?
The
big
noise,
concrete thing that.
sure, yeah.
Okay, I
so
just don't know how noisy it is.
So for the most part, I don't think it's the machine itself. It's the beeping of the machine when they're backing up. The lights, if you don't have curtains or blinds on your home, they obviously need, kind of like stadium lights in order to pour, to make sure they're pouring appropriately. So it could be a disturbance. Definitely, it's not. I'm not going to try to minimize that at all. This has come up when we did the Ridge. One of the reasons we started even applying the noise ordinance to construction was because when the Ridge was being built, they were pouring really early in the mornings. It was a hot summer that year. And so with the new subdivisions that have come into play or other random foundations for other homes, we've always said that you have to operate between 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. So it's not that it hasn't existed. Some in the past have said, well, I'll just take my citation and pour in the morning. So they're coming because it's cheaper for them to take the citation, pour in the morning, than risk having to rip up a foundation. So I've had that happen too. And so in this particular case, they're asking to pour earlier than 7 a.m. So,
but they want to pour at 4.
Their
a.m.
request is 4 a.m., correct.
Whoa, okay. Councilor Mersch, go ahead.
I would suggest or recommend that maybe we ask them to delay until 5 a.m., but I definitely think notification to the neighbors is in order so that it's not a surprise to anybody and they know what days this is going to happen on or for how long.
Is it Monday through Friday, Dr. Caldera?
No, they pour on the weekends as well.
Oh, they do?
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
so it's 7 days a week.
Houses are built 7 days a week.
Okay, didn't know that. Okay. Councilor Campos.
So it is a valid concern, okay, about the heat and the curing of the concrete and then for the crew themselves. I was kind of going through what do other cities do, and I also asked the manager for that information. And I was looking at the city of San Antonio, and I think they allow early pours, but they have to give so many days' notice. I don't remember exactly how many. I think
It's 48 hours, I think. I think it's
And-
2 days.
it was 72 hours in advance.
Sorry.
The way that
Okay,
the notes
sorry.
that
Sorry, yeah.
and then for everybody who's within 300 feet of the pour, okay, so that the neighbors would know, and that we would know. And I was also asking, well, how many more lots do they have to pour? And they've come back with an estimate of 42 lots.
Right.
And, I don't know how people can't be bothered by the noise because the houses are so close
They're so close
together.
together,
Okay, they're within 5 feet of each other in some cases, right? And so the contractor, in order to get a valid product, I think he's going to need to do it earlier. And we've seen an example in Seneca West, and I don't remember what the name of that subdivision is, but I'm just going to call it Seneca West, that they had to demolish one of the homes, where we thought, oh, it fell over. No, through the inspection process, the concrete did not cure correctly. So I definitely think there is a need for it. We just need to find that notification solution so that they can do their job effectively. So that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you. Counselor Heil.
So there's 42 homes that they want to do this? How
Well,
many?
not necessarily. So it's 42 estimated foundations that are left, but not all 42 are going to be built in the summer. So you could put a timeline that this would only be allowed from now until, I don't know, October. I don't know how hot, when the weather starts coming down, October. So you could also do that. This could be a temporary variance, and you would set that in your motion. So if you would allow the variance, or you could table it, we can bring it back later with a more cleaned up version, but you could do the variance this evening and say you request a 72-hour notification for a 300-foot radius.
And how would they notify?
You can determine what that notification is. If
Okay.
you want door hangers or mail outs
Okay,
or
that's what I'm
whatever you
saying,
want.
yeah. We have to be specific there.
If you want, yeah.
Yes, you have a follow-up?
It would be
Counselor?
very difficult, though, if you were living there, to have that 7 days a week, to get up at 4 o'clock every morning.
Well, it's not necessarily they pour at 4 o'clock every single morning. It's just whenever they have foundations to be done, they would begin working at 4. That doesn't mean every day a foundation is going to be
Okay.
poured for the next 40. If that were the case, the houses in the subdivision would be done in 42 days. And I
Right.
would recommend that you do it so this project can be over, but that's not the case.
Okay, but I heard you say that we could, the council could put a deadline. So in other words, we'll let you pour at 5 a.m. or something like that, but
Just Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday through October 30th or something, first or whatever the date
I don't know
is.
when it starts getting cooler.
Well,
Nowadays,
I tell you what, it is hot. I mean, I walk every morning and it's like,
It's still hot.
it's still hot. It doesn't cool off anymore, y'all. It's like sometimes I get out and I always check it's 81, in the morning. So, and just about the noise, I walked to the natural area on Monday and it was 10 after 7 and it wasn't foundation, but it was the garbage truck at the Forest Oaks Apartments at 10 after 7, and it was loud. That's why I was asking, what's the decibel? Because it was very, very disturbing, but, I don't live there, so I just was walking by. Yes, Counselor Ross.
Thank you, Mayor.
You bet.
I supposedly was the very first one to buy in Pavona Place. So there was only about 10 houses being built, that had been built. So I was around there when they built the other 100 homes. I heard the noises and I heard the cement being poured at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Mr. Garrity's house is behind me. That was the loudest one. But buying my house there, I knew construction was going to go on, and I knew that there was going to be noises. I had the flats, I had the noise. I woke up in the morning, and now I did go to Sena and walked around, and that's how I knew that the meters were being fixed. And I did get to talk to a couple of people, and I did ask them about that, and they weren't against it. I know there's one or two that don't want the noise, but they're living there. That they protest the noise before they bought the house. It's going to be there. It's just one of the things that unfortunately that's just the way it goes. I would like to suggest, as the Mayor Pro Tem, let's do it for a couple of months. Maybe 5 o'clock in the morning is better than 4. Give it 5 o'clock, give them a couple of months, and let's see how it works. Let's see, the temperature should be going down in October, right? David, do you think? You're a weatherman. You see?
We can't wait for the first cold front, right?
Yes, the meteorologist said that August the 7th is when it starts tapering off. You know, a cool front for us is 90 degrees, but let's give them a couple of months to see how, you know, how they react, and let's move it to 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock through October 1st, is that what I'm hearing? Yes, Counselor Mercer.
I like October 1st, and I also like, excuse me, the Monday through Friday.
I do
And I know
too.
it's going to put a little bit of a wrench in their thing, but I do think that people
People
need
need
to have
peace
their
and
weekends with a little bit of peace.
Did you have 7 days a
No,
week?
she just brought something up that reminded
Yeah.
me. When I talked to him, they build certain houses, the blocks for the foundation, and they leave and they pour the cement on all 3 or 4 of them at a time, not just one house per day. They usually do 3 or 4 at a time that they go and do it. So they don't come back like Dr. Cardetta said. They don't do it every day. They build the blocks and then they put the
But in
cement.
Pavona Place, did they do it 7 days a week? Do you remember when you lived there?
In
In
Pavona?
Pavona?
I
Oh, you
don't,
can't
I
remember.
don't
That's been a
remember.
long time. I
No,
know.
that's,
I think
that's
the
30 years
I think
ago.
the compromise Monday through Friday.
No,
is
and I want to clarify. I think on Sundays, I think some trades are allowed to work, but I don't think they do major construction. So like on Sundays, I don't see houses being built on Sundays, but I
what about
definitely
Saturday?
I do see people out there on Saturday, but I don't know if they're pouring concrete on Saturday.
Well, but
I just
we're-
know trades are,
Yeah,
but
I
yes,
think
Monday
it-
through
I think
Friday,
this
yes.
is a good compromise. I
Yes,
really do.
absolutely.
Yeah.
When
Counselor
I,
Marsh.
when I walk in Seneca Trails on Sundays, I do see workmen there, but it's usually interior work. It's a
Trades, yeah.
few guys working, so it's
Okay, so
not
it's
like
not out.
super heavy machinery or anything like that.
Okay. Yes, Counselor Campos.
So would my colleagues consider having the notification in advance of those people within whatever distance you'd like? I've seen 300 feet. And hopefully, the people who live there can understand they had an opportunity for their concrete to cure properly. They should allow their future neighbors' concrete to.
Yeah, we don't want houses to fall.
Right.
That's for sure. Yes, Counselor Mersh.
I really think that more of the complaints are going to come from our residents in the older sections that are across the street from the construction. And so I think whether we use 300 feet, I think we need to do some notification to the people on the first 2 houses on those streets, because they're more upset by the noise than the people who have chosen to live in a construction zone, because they didn't ask to live in that construction zone.
Sure. It looks like Senna 1, which is the product that abuts Pavona Place, is almost already completed. So the houses remaining are on that backside. But yes, 200 to 300 feet, whatever y'all want to do, I'm fine. I know that he sent me an email earlier wanting to pour early, like in 2 days, which, I mean, that's at the pleasure of the council, which y'all want to do 48 or 72.
Well, we also need notification out to the, remember we said door
I
hangers?
think they
or-
need to do
That's what I'm
some,
saying,
yeah.
whether it's 48 hours or 72
Yeah,
hours. I'm fine
okay.
with I'm fine with whatever y'all want to do.
Well, what do
I
y'all
would say
think?
it's a rule of 72, but I would not be opposed to making an exception of 48 for the first, for the timeline based on our meeting dates and all of that. But I don't think they should use mail. I think they need to do door hangers or, postcards to the
postcard.
handouts to the residents, something, because the mail is not dependable
No, it's
enough
not.
to
It's
give
not.
any kind of notice.
Does everyone, what do y'all think over here? Betty, Counselor Heil?
Whose responsibility is it to put the hang tags?
They would.
They would. It's not the city's, right?
No. They would put out the door hangers. They would notify that they're doing it. Their problem comes in with rain situations, like when they send out a door hanger and it rains and then they have to reschedule, it's, but it's their responsibility to kind of figure that out. Especially if they want to pour that earlier. They don't have to pour that early. They don't have to give notification if they're going to pour at 7, right? So.
Right.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, Counselor Campos.
I think I heard you say that contractors have occasionally just blown past any penalty that we submitted and say, oh, it's a $50 fine or whatever it is. But should we say we're gonna shut you down?
So that's already part of the provision. I mean, if they continue to blow, if somebody continues to habitually ignore the ordinance or not, then they can, we can stop. I can put a stop work order on them immediately if I so choose. We typically try to be, each city is different in regard, as you can see, I think I sent you all a small little chart, I did a snippet, is different. And so sometimes we do get a developer in here that just thought they could pour at a certain time, or there were some exceptions to concrete, or they said that they thought that there was an exception to concrete. That has happened on occasion. So just like this last time when it happened, we gave them a warning and they haven't poured before 7 a.m. And so he asked, well, is there a way to kind of get around that? Or is there a way? And I said, yeah, you have to ask council for permission. So they're trying to do it the right way.
I think,
Very good.
do you have enough feedback? From
Yeah,
them?
so I have that the variance will be granted for 5 a.m. Monday through Friday until October 1st. They must give door hanger notification to 300 feet within 72 hours of the pour. Can I get a motion that
I
that's
so
good?
move.
Friday. Okay, so who's making the motion?
I
Not
so
Dr.
moved,
Caldera.
yes.
No, I just read it and he
Yeah.
said so moved, so Ray
Okay.
Orozco.
So, okay, so go ahead.
And I'd like to second as the
Okay, so
city
let me make
manager
sure I've
read it.
gotten, so we approved the variance as requested in 7.6 to 5 a.m. Monday through Friday with a door hanger notice for 300 feet for 72 hours prior to the pouring. Is that-
Until October 1st.
Until October 1st, thank you, that's what I forgot, until October 1st.
Yes, ma'am.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion does carry. Thank you. I think that was a good compromise. Okay, very good. All righty. Well, we've kind of gone all over this agenda. Well, we haven't done that in a while. We won't go to requests for future items yet. Okay, we'll go back. Presentations. Okay, so we've got, well, let's just make okay, I'll just do this presentation real quick for the. All right, so I guess I'll just stay here since we don't have too many people in the chambers. On July 4th, at our 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, the council had a small hometown celebration in the Community Conference Center Park area. And so I had some comments, and I didn't run it by my colleagues, and for that I apologize, but I just thought, well, what could we do for something for the 250th anniversary? And I thought was voting, because I think voting is patriotic. I really do. And so I made that comment, but then I talked to Dr. Caldera and I said, well, how can we memorialize this? And she said, well, let's start with the proclamation, but then I wanted to also ask my colleagues, what do you think? Will you support it? And how can we work together on voter registration, getting out notifications about when early voting is, what the time and place for voting. And I learned something today. I talked to Regina, because, the library is the hub of our city, I think. Not City Hall. I think the library is, because that's what attracts people. And I did not know, but she told me today when I said, well, I hadn't really run it by Dr. Caldera, but, could we do some kind of voter registration at the library? And she said, Mayor, did you know that when people come in to get a library card, you have to, by law, I guess, or you have to ask them, do they want a voter registration card? I didn't know that. I knew you had to do that for a driver's license, right? But I didn't know about a library card. So learn something new every day. So thank you for sharing that, Regina. I do appreciate that. So anyway, yes.
The public schools, Marshall, all high schools, they also do it when students turn 18.
Mm-hmm.
They give them the voter registration forms and stuff to be filled out. It's
Okay.
a requirement that the high schools do.
Okay, so maybe we could partner with the high schools too. I don't know. So I know I've got, what's it called? I always want to get it. It's called Volunteer Deputy Registrar. So I've gone to the website of the Bexar County Elections, and you just go online, you review the procedure, and then you have to take a test. And if you pass that test, then you become a deputy a volunteer deputy registrar. So I'm going to do that, and I have the League of Women Voters. I've got 2 sister-in-laws that are also volunteer DV. So I think we can get some volunteers to help. And if anybody else wants to help, I'd love your help. So anyway, so we have a proclamation. So just let me read it very quickly because I know it's maybe we could put it at the library. Proclamation encouraging voter registration and participation in Leon Valley elections, whereas the strength of our democracy depends upon the active participation of informed and engaged citizens, whereas voting is both a cherished right and civic responsibility that gives every eligible resident the opportunity to help shape the future of the city of Leon Valley, and whereas local elections have a direct impact on the quality of life in our community by determining the leadership and decisions that affect public safety, infrastructure, parks, neighborhoods, city services, and the responsible stewardship of taxpayer resources. And whereas recent municipal elections in Leon Valley have experienced voter turnout of approximately 6%, that's right, demonstrating an opportunity for greater civic engagement among our residents. And whereas every eligible voter who registers and casts a ballot help ensures that our local government reflects the voices, values, and priorities of the entire community. And whereas residents who need to register to vote update their voter registration information or verify their registration status may contact our Leon Valley City Secretary's office, and we have the email address and phone number and extension, or visit Bexar County Elections Voter Registration Resources at www.whatever. And by the way, Sandra Postley did email me today and said she is more than willing to participate and register voters anywhere at city events or at the library or whatever. So now, therefore, I, Chris Riley, Mayor of the City of Leon Valley, Texas, do hereby proclaim our continued commitment to encourage every eligible resident to register to vote or verify that voter registration is current, learn about the issues and candidates on the ballot, make a plan to vote in every municipal election, and encourage family, friends, and neighbors to participate in the electoral process. Together, we can strengthen our community by increasing civic participation and ensuring that every voice has the opportunity to be heard, every vote matters, and every resident has the power to shape the future of Leon Valley. Signed by my hand this 4th day of August, 2026, Mayor Chris Riley. So thank you. And I know you had a great idea today when you and I talked. And
So, Mayor, I do want to let everyone know that I do support this initiative, and I thank you for that proclamation. One of the things that what I encountered during this election is that we went door to door to hand out literature, and it explained the early voting dates and the election date. But I was very surprised as I could see the votes coming in, the voters, I don't know how they voted, but they didn't participate. And they said, hey, don't forget to vote. And I said, oh, I forgot. Okay, so what I've asked the city manager is that if there is a way to create signs that say early voting is going on from this date to this date, not endorsing any candidates.
it's nonpartisan.
And the election day, and put them out in different intersections throughout the city, just to put awareness. And I don't know if it goes into, how big the sign is. I'd love to say early voter registration, you need to be registered by this to vote.
October 3rd.
But, I just need something very basic that says, we've got early voting going on from this day to this day. Please vote. Same thing, election day. And
yeah,
can be in front of your house, Ray, or wherever you want.
Yeah. Yes, Councilor Roscoe.
Thank you, Mr. Campos. I thought that was an excellent idea. There's many times that I'm driving home, get home, man, I forgot to stop and vote. I think the signs would be an excellent idea. That's a great idea. I'm all for that. I think we can. It doesn't take much for the budget to get signs. We got them for certain events, and we put them out there before. And I think it's a great idea. We can, buy about 15 of them throughout the city, 20. I can put one in my house.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, Counselor Marsh.
Well, I think it's amazing that we have such low voter turnout when it is so easy to vote in the conference center for early voting. It's in and out.
election day.
And whether it's election day, I don't know. I always early vote, but
right.
it's right in the center of Leon Valley. So it's not far from anybody in Leon Valley. I know that other people might find a location that's close to their work, and that's great. But I think we need to publicize more that we've got early voting right here in Leon Valley next to them.
Okay. Anyway, yes, Counselor Heil.
I think one of the things that I found when I was out block walking, people said, you vote on Saturday? Shouldn't it be on Tuesday? I want to vote on Tuesday. I said, I'm sorry, it's Saturday. And many people just weren't aware. And, or they would just say, I just don't vote. It doesn't make a difference. And,
Right.
and that's what's frustrating is people have to realize it does make a difference. And I don't know how we change that. I really don't.
Right. I know. Just got to keep trying, you know. But anyway, thank you all very much. So we'll, I did ask Dr. Caldera if we could use the PEG channel, and you said that, again, nonpartisan, just, this
Correct.
is the schedule, this is the deadline for mail-in ballots, you know, that, all of that.
So the signs, all of that stuff is a great idea. Just costs money, so how much y'all willing to spend, whether or not to add that to your budget or how you want to handle that. You can't use PEG funds to do signage. You can only use the PEG funds for the channel itself. And so you just need to figure out, you know.
Could we use economic development, community development funds?
I don't see why not.
I mean, just, again, it's a community effort.
You'd just be taking it from the reserve fund, but whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
yeah,
not gonna be
whatever-
that much,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, well, the signs at the bathroom were 7,000, so I don't know what you consider
well,
much.
No, we,
Or how much, how big, I don't know how,
yeah.
I've never purchased signage like that goes in the ground, like the election type sign. I don't have any knowledge of how much that stuff costs and how big it is, so we would have to get quotes for that. But we're happy to do so, whatever, you know, we're at the pleasure of the council on where you
So
want
maybe
those.
we could work together, Counselor Campos, on that.
Is it legal? I'm sorry.
No, no.
Is it even legal for the city to put out signs like that?
You can put out register to vote as
yeah.
long as they're nonpartisan
Oh, yeah, it's all
signs. You're not
nonpartisan.
telling,
All
you're just
nonpartisan.
telling people information. Now, Bandera Road is a little bit trickier because I can't put signage in the median.
Right.
And it has to be in the public right of way.
Do you have to put a disclaimer on there also? That it cannot, that says you cannot put it on there?
No, we can place it at the library. All you're stating is register to vote timeline or early voting dates. Just like if we put out like household hazardous waste signage, we have the ability
I was
to.
going to ask you to speak next, Regina, because I know you give out cards, but you're saying you can't take the cards back.
Right,
What-
we're
yes.
not
Right,
registered.
You're not the
But I just
registrar.
wanted to make note that
Yeah.
we do get signage every year from the League of Women Voters. So the library does already have signage. That may be another contact where you could
Okay.
just get more signage that is already created without having to
Good.
spend city funds.
Good.
Yeah,
Thank
they
you.
just don't
Great
do the
idea.
big signs. They have the posters that we put out, but they haven't done
They
the
don't
big,
have
the
the-
big sign that I'm aware
Or
of. Yeah, 'cause
just the signs that are like,
I don't know
in
how
your
big you want to go.
neighborhood.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
like the little billboard signs.
Uh-huh.
Right, y'all are poster, but in the
Yeah.
ground outside.
but
to
in the
lift through
ground,
rain.
heavier.
Yeah.
You've got to have heavier signs because of the weather. So,
Yeah.
great discussion. Thank y'all very much. All right. And of course, I want to be I want Leon Valley to be the highest turnout in the county. Yeah, okay. But anyway, we got to have a goal, you know? Okay, yes. Counselor
I
Marsh.
would encourage us to use our other mechanisms of communication, like the e-news, also in the Lions Roar, to put those early voting dates or registration
We
deadlines.
do all of that.
and-
Sandra is excellent. She posts in the Lions Roar. She starts posting stuff in the e-news early on. So that's one of the things that she is very good about, is making sure that those dates are out and published. And I think we have a high voter registration. I think there's a lot of voters it's getting them out to the polls to actually vote is the different
Yeah, I
piece.
believe she's given us that number, like 7,700 or something like
So
that.
for per capita
Yeah.
for your residents, I think you do have a high percentage that's already registered to vote. It's just they're not going out to vote.
Right, exactly. Okay, thank you all very much. I really appreciate it. All right, agenda item 3.2. Miss Sarah, you are so patient to wait for us until the bitter end. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. That's what I'm
It was
for.
just the way the evening went. So anyway, thank you so much for being here, and we do appreciate it. Let me read the presentation 7.2. No, excuse me, 3.2. Presentation, discussion, and possible direction to staff on the city's economic development incentive policy. And we have Sarah Wopel, our Economic Development and Special Projects Director. And again, good evening and welcome.
Awesome, thank you. Good evening, council. Good evening, mayor. So it was at my direction to review your policy coming in. And so as I'm absorbing all of the existing incentive agreements, as well as the existing policies, today I'll be sharing with you some of those recommendations. Now, City Council is being asked to review the city's economic and community development incentive policy. Options for today: City Council approval for staff to proceed with draft amendments to incentive policy for future City Council consideration. There's also the option of denial or other. You could also propose additional changes should you see it fit. Oops, excuse me. Again, the purpose of this is a discussion, right? So I want to keep that an engaging process for you all. And so this is an initial sort of recommendation on my end of what I'm seeing and how it benchmarks compared to other cities. But I also want to gauge the temperature of you all on existing incentives, especially when we are having these budget conversations for next fiscal year, what that looks like as far as economic development. So we have a little bit more certainty on what programs you'd like to see more of, or what you'd like to see development-wise in the community. So I've bucketed our active city programs into a few buckets here. I've considered your commercial property demolition and lot clearing grant program and your facade and building improvement grant program as placemaking programs, initiatives. These are things that make the community feel prettier, beautify the spaces, make the community want to come out to these shared spaces, right? Commercial property demolition, that's for those existing vacant properties that, you know, may be derelict, dangerous, things like that. So those demolition dollars can go to 20-year-old or older properties. It's capped at $100,000 currently. And then we have our facade and building improvement grant program, which these dollars are meant for, you know, your window, your door replacements, awnings, you know, additional paint for the property to beautify the space. And so we've worked in the past, I believe that that old gym's development on 6400 Bandera that I brought the amendment for last time, that was a facade and building improvement grant as well. They had some pieces. Next, I would consider your Leon Valley Business Grant and your ad valorem and sales tax rebate usage, your job creation or your business development sort of programs. These are more geared to business attraction opportunities, retaining businesses here, and expanding local businesses as well. So just some of the tools you have at your disposal, so to speak, what you have available to you should a business come in or should an existing business approach you for incentive dollars. Additional incentives that the city does provide, just from what I've seen, is the fee waivers. So development fee waivers, if they have additional permitting that they need, the city can provide waivers for those fees. We also have the Texas PACE program. So the city partners with Alamo Area Council of Governments, ACOG, as you might know it, on this program. It's a property assessment climate, let me see. Sorry, I always miss this one. It's the PACE
I think we were the first suburban city to adopt the PACE program, but I don't think we've ever had a PACE project.
Yeah, it's the property assessed clean energy program, and that's I feel like it's underutilized here. From Dr. Caldera's experience, it seems like we haven't had a project with PACE.
We haven't.
No, and the big reason for that is they become the primary lien holder. So if something comes into play and the company goes bankrupt, the PACE program collects their money before anything else. And so they can't get like banks won't do additional funding that way.
Exactly. That, I
And
knew
so
that was an issue. Yeah.
that's the biggest issue with the PACE program that we found here.
Thank you for that.
So yeah, just wanted to mention those.
Excuse me just a second.
Go ahead.
Councilor Campos
Sorry.
had his hand up.
So, do other jurisdictions, municipalities rather, have PACE participants?
Yes, yes.
So why isn't it a problem for their area? Why is it a problem for our area? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, I can speak on that a little bit. So, again, as Dr. Caldera mentioned, it does place a lien on the property. So property owners who are going out for additional funds for banking, financing reasons, that could be an existing barrier for them to get additional properties. It's also something that they have to negotiate. So if you have a mortgage on the property, they have to speak directly with whoever owns that property. You know, their lender, for example, would have to provide that approval for them to go forward with that PACE assistance. So it is a bit of a it has to be a bit of a coordination between the property owner, the business, if it is a business, and the Texas PACE applicants, because they select a vendor, whoever does that contracting for that new energy efficient appliance, as well as the financing agent. So whoever that vehicle will be. Anything else I mentioned, Dr. Caldera? I didn't want to.
No, that's pretty much it. So a lot of the PACE programs, if you take a look at the listing, they're really kind of larger projects that were already kind of funded. And so they weren't looking at additional funds. This was an addition to projects. I know when Mr. Salinas was here, we almost had we got really close to having a project under the PACE program. But they needed some additional funding to make another portion of their project work. So they had to decline participating in the PACE program. We're not that big. We're not like the city of San Antonio. We have all these opportunities to utilize PACE. Most of our stuff is going to be redevelopment. And so because of that, somebody would need to take out some money in order to do one of these it's not an all paid for kind of a project. And so this just covers that portion of those renovations for that particular project.
And wasn't there something about the savings on the energy?
Yes.
Helps pay the.
Go, I
right.
mean, she could probably explain
It does, so it does have to be shown or demonstrated that it's going to be energy efficient. And so that can also be a barrier if the new appliance or investment.
HVAC or whatever.
HVAC, yes, they'd have to show that new HVAC is, creating some sort of savings.
Right. That's what I recall.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, and so just to kind of provide a background on our available budget for the fiscal year 2026, it was $324,246 that was what was budgeted. Now for ongoing fiscal year 2027, that's at the city council's discretion. It's still being determined. Dr. Caldera will have additional conversations about that. So just wanted to provide that context there. And then additionally, I wanted to give some background on local and state incentives. Again, after reviewing, it looks like a lot of the projects that come out of Leon Valley haven't utilized these programs. It's not to say that you can't or never will. It's just the types of economic development projects that Bexar County or the state are going to be getting involved in are going to be your higher capital investment projects that accompany a lot more jobs. And so not to say that you can't have some of those opportunities here, but that's usually when Bexar County or the state or your school district will get involved as far as, abatement programs or like the Texas Enterprise Zone is a good example of that, which allows for a per job grant on some of those bigger opportunities. Now, I will mention though, the Bexar County does provide an innovation fund program targeted for more office jobs. These are going to be higher paying jobs. And I do think that could be something that we could partner with Bexar County on in future economic development opportunities. So it is something we could engage them on. As far as your jetty though, your Texas Enterprise Zone, those are going to be more for those higher yielding industrial manufacturing type projects. And they have existing sort of requirements depending on the size of your municipality as well. So just something to mention. And so as far as incentive policy goals go, I wanted to give some background on the goal of incentives, what best practices are as far as, how communities have utilized them in the past, and something to kind of keep in mind as you're looking at future opportunities that I may bring to this dais. So one of those things is going to be your return on investment. Now, this isn't always going to be the case, but oftentimes we're going to want to look for a return on investment that's greater than one, right? Like, is the city receiving revenues after this project that is going to be positive, net positive in generation, right? Especially with your sales tax generating projects, things that are bringing jobs, additional labor to the community, or additional ad valorem taxes, things like that. However, I do want to hazard that not all economic development projects have to have a positive ROI. You've seen a couple projects like this in other municipalities as well, where there could be a glaring community development project that needs to take place, and that might not yield revenue. And so if there are beautification projects, for instance, that the council, sees as a priority, that's something that those community development dollars could be used for, incentives can be used for, and it doesn't have to equate to a necessarily like net sum gain of a return on investment. So just wanted to mention that. Is it still providing a positive public benefit to the community? That's what we're also looking for. So as far as your strengthening your competitiveness, supporting retention, and fueling that investment, that's what incentives are generally used for. So after I went through the existing incentive policies for those programs I mentioned, here's what I found we could improve on. And these, again, are all suggestions open to discussion, but I just wanted to get y'all's feel for some of these suggestions. So one thing I noticed was a lot of municipalities do have targeted industries or sectors. These can be broad, they can be very specific, especially in more populated cities or counties. However, I did want to add that as you're creating that identity for Leon Valley, it's important to know what you want to attract and to kind of broadcast that. I think it does lead to positive results as far as people who are utilizing programs and interested in your city, because if you kind of broadcast that, you'll get a little bit more of a response. I also want to emphasize the but-for question. So a good economic development practitioner is going to look for a project that, if it were not for this incentive, would the project happen? And so that's what we're looking for with a lot of these incentive projects, is that filling that gap and seeing that demand if the market conditions won't allow it. I also noticed that we don't have a lot on the workforce development side as far as incentives go. This isn't something that I understand for a smaller municipality we could do, but I also wanted to mention Regina's labors with the grant she has, and the leveraging that in our future policies could be helpful. Seeing if those programs are successful, how do we continue that long term?
That was I wrote that down. Can we leverage Regina's program?
Yes,
There you go.
absolutely.
Great, thank you.
And then as far as readiness, updates to the application is visible online on the city's website. You're welcome to take a look. And there's some notes I would have on that application as far as a little bit more specificity as far as the real and personal property improvements that are taking place for this project, getting a little bit more specific, especially if it's going to increase tenant spaces, things like that can help in my economic development analysis, so I can bring it back to you for review. I've noticed, because we've had a couple, as you may know, have had a couple applications in this process, and I've had to do a lot of follow-up because that application just wasn't enough in terms of my due diligence vetting some of these applicants. Additionally, and this is the big one, is the Chapter 312 policy guidelines. So the state code does allow municipalities to abate taxes as well. Now cities would have to adopt formal guidelines or policy for this to take place, and the state does recommend that you approve these every 2 years. That's a requirement. There's some additional public hearing requirements that come along with that. And so these Chapter 312s, they're usually for your more industrial manufacturing, your larger projects. You don't see smaller cities utilizing them as often. However, I did want to mention that we do have a large industrial amount of sites, some vacant properties as well, that a Chapter 312 policy could be something to consider. And so as far as readiness goes, we don't want to get 2 years from now and be like, oh, we don't have a Chapter 312 policy if a development were to come in. So just looking at that guidelines, if we establish those guidelines in place, if they're approved and on the books, we can always use that and have it in our toolbox, so to speak, for future incentives.
Excuse me, what about the Gold's Gym? Didn't we do some kind of a tax?
So that was a tax rebate program.
Yeah,
The
that's
rebate
different
program is,
than
yes,
this
yeah.
312. Okay, I
Abatement-
just wanted to be
Yeah,
sure.
no, I appreciate it. It was chapter 380 is.
Oh, it was 380. I knew it was 3 something. Okay,
Yeah,
so 312 versus 380. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, 380
Okay.
allows for those grants and rebates.
Okay, great.
And then the abatement would be where we work directly with the comptroller to just abate those taxes
Okay.
writ large. And it would be whatever percentage the incentive agreement allows. As far as risk mitigation, these are some things I also recommend, just considering minimum and maximum thresholds as far as jobs. Creating a minimum job requirement might be helpful. Even with smaller projects, it could be helpful to see long-term if those jobs are being held, what those associated wages are. Those can be simple additions to the program or policy that allow us to be a little bit more discerning in the applicants that we receive. I also noted an application fee as well. Some municipalities do have an application fee. It is allowed by the state. However, if you want to have businesses come in, especially smaller businesses, apply to these programs, it may be something to consider. So just wanted to add that application fees are something that municipalities utilize, but up to the city council's discretion as well. Something I also mentioned was the performance review piece. So we have 3 active incentive contracts at the moment, and so I don't know the cadence on which you spoke to the previous economic development directors, but I think it's for transparency's sake having those executive briefings with y'all when there are problems. That way we can get ahead of it before there's a termination or a possible recapture or something like that. I think adopting a sort of cadence, whether it be semi-annually or annually, depending on what's necessary, so that I can provide a sort of overview of the compliance of those active incentive agreements. And I'll be quick here. So again, I've went through those programs, facade and building improvement grant. I'll be taking back to the Economic and Community Development Advisory Committee as y'all approved the objectives for that review of the policy. However, just a note, there are a lot of municipalities who do utilize a maximum cap for that program, and I just noticed on that policy there was no maximum amount. Now, with your commercial property demolition grant, you did have $100,000 as a cap, but I think you should probably consider a cap for that facade and building improvement grant.
Okay. Usually it's 10,000, but that's not the cap.
It's not the cap, at
Yeah,
least that I'm
okay.
aware of.
That's usually just the general.
That's just been your practice,
That's
but
been
it's
our
not.
practice. There you go.
It's not in the
Yeah,
policy.
exactly. Okay.
And then I also recommend requiring matching funds. Again, if you're going to do some sort of transactional facade improvement where they offer $5,000 and you match it an additional $5,000, whatever the case may be. But that way there's some sort of partnership in that. And then as far as the Leon Valley business grants go, this is where I offered a little bit more here with the targeted industries, for example, having destination retail, restaurants, and entertainment concepts, that demonstrate market uniqueness, and also those commercial office-based sales industries, so medical equipment suppliers, your software hardware sales, and your wholesale distributors. And then additionally, if we'd like to provide additional incentives to hotels, since I know that's been a conversation brought up, but these are a list of what I've heard and kind of absorbed over the last kind of council meetings that I've been at that people are looking for to see development in Leon Valley. But having that target list, again, makes it a little bit more marketable for the program. And then as far as those application updates, again, making those real tangible tax improvements, having that listed out as a requirement in the application so that we have additional, better project scope so we can negotiate that contract. Let's see what else. Oh, and then this was my last fun one, which is requiring a percentage of the total incentive value to be used for eligible workforce, public green space, or tree planting or public art. I think this can be a really awesome way to work directly with a developer or a business owner on what do you want to see in Leon Valley? And this can be a good way to kind of add a little bit of a happy face at the end of an incentive agreement to be like, this is what we want to see in Leon Valley. Not often do you have the opportunity to be in front of a developer and they're asking you for, support on a project. And so how can we make that a two-way street? So if there is something you want to see more of in Leon Valley, whether it be additional trees, planting, public art, that could be a way we can negotiate that within the agreement. Alrighty, and then I'll be brief, this is just a benchmark of those city comparisons for you to review. Around 6 do have targeted industries, and then 6 also do have either historical use of the Chapter 312 or have an active policy on their website. And then for the tax abatement rebate, so if we do consider those Chapter 312 policy in the future, this is where I'm looking at creating a minimum job requirement. I think with abatements and rebates, these are really where you should have a little bit of a beefier ask when it comes to the types of developments or projects that you're looking for. I've noticed as well that the juice really isn't worth the squeeze with abatements for smaller projects. So if you're talking under $1 million, a lot of times it's more administrative work for the applicant than it's really worth in the abatement or the rebate value that they get at the end. So that's why I've started at that 1 million. But if you are looking for smaller projects, we can certainly broaden that scope. And then this would be their first year on that first year max eligible abatement column. This would be what they could be eligible to receive, and then it would kind of stair step down by 10% annually. Again, this just provides certainty in that negotiation process. That way an applicant can look at your application and see, okay, this is something I may be eligible or qualifying for. I also would recommend limits on your ad valorem tax rebates. So currently, I believe with previous agreements, you've had 100%, 75% abatement on the entirety of the city's ad valorem tax amount or tax rate. However, I would recommend, just for best practices, not having your debt service be risking a recapture or something like that. Only rebating that portion of the M&O. And then so my recommendation today is to proceed with drafting some of those updated incentive policies for future city council consideration. This item is for briefing purposes only. And then listing our economic development goal, and I think it checks all of these. So I'm open to questions. I know that was a lot.
No, thank you, Sarah. I appreciate really a good presentation. And I know people want a sit-down, nice restaurant in Leon Valley. I hear that all the time. But also, this redevelopment that we have along Bandera Road, people are noticing it. They call me and go, Mayor, what's going on at Poss and Bandera Road? They want to know. And then, of course, the Gold's Gym, that's a great opportunity in the future that we'll have some good businesses there, maybe a good restaurant, I don't know.
Yes.
But anyway, I don't know. I'm excited, and thank you. And I love your enthusiasm as well. So thank you. I'm sure, but I'd say all of the above, as far as, but I know we have a lot of tools. And so thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Good job. Yes, Councilor
Great
Campos.
presentation, and thank you for answering all the questions I had. Understood the presentation. Great job. I'm really excited going forward.
Thank you.
Okay. Bring in that restaurant, sit-down restaurant. No, I'm just teasing. No, I think Mr. Bradshaw said the last time, no, it was at the comprehensive planning. He said, what's the restaurant on Floyd Curl and Hebner Marmont or whatever? Yeah, he said they're looking for a bigger spot. I'm like,
Marmonte.
yeah, that's what he said.
I have been to it. It is very good, and yeah, I definitely can make that call if we want to
that would be
approach
great.
him about bigger spaces. I'd be open to that.
So, all right. Well, thank you so much. Good job. Anything else? Yes.
I went over there that night.
Oh, did you really?
And my wife and I, and it was excellent.
It was
and
excellent.
You talk about a nice restaurant.
Yes, it's a very nice restaurant. It's great. Okay. All right. So I'm all confused now, but okay. And here we are. 3. I have a 7.1 above the 3, so I keep going that. So 3.3, the budget. There we go.
So just for clarification, you're good with the direction we're going in with the incentives?
yeah,
I just want to,
definitely.
I heard 2 people, but I just want to make sure we're okay. That's why we
Yeah,
gave the
everybody,
presentation, just to make
okay.
sure.
I definitely support revising and being up to date and being competitive with other
Mhm.
cities. And, you know, I know we're a small city, but we have to have the tools in place to attract something other than a little family-owned Mexican restaurant, which I
Yeah.
think is about all we're.
But also, I think we have the ability to partner with Bear County and their economic development. I think we have a good relationship with them, and so if we could come together on a project, I think that would be really good.
Yes,
And I'd be more than happy to work with you on it.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with doing joint agreements with Bear
Mhm.
County, and so
Mhm.
If something like that were to come forward, I see a lot of office spaces and office space potential, especially on Wurzbach. Your Tower
Mhm.
West has a lot of vacancies,
Mhm.
and so I could see additional businesses coming in there that
Yeah.
way.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, great. Now,
Thank you.
Dr. Caldera, thank you for being so patient about the budget. I keep saying 7 because I have a 7 above a 3, 3.3. We've discussed, you've balanced the budget for us, right?
Maybe.
Maybe, but you want our input.
So we're gonna go through 175 slides right now, so. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll
So,
be outta here at
yeah,
midnight.
yeah,
Yeah.
so, we did get the no new revenue rate. It came in, 1/10 penny less than what we currently have. I'll be recommending a 0.54 tax rate, but it'll be 1/10 of a penny higher on your M&O, and I'll explain that to y'all. The main question is, I had Sandra go ahead and post for Monday, the 10th at 6:30 p.m. To discuss the budget. So if you can be here, great. I know, Mayor, we discussed maybe zooming you in for that meeting.
Yes, I'm going
so-
to be in New Braunfels that night.
but we'll go through the budget presentation at that point. Carol worked really hard today. We were back and forth, and we did balance your budget. Again, in order to do that, there's some recommendations that we made in order to make that happen, to keep your tax rate pretty much the same. Again, your INS went up and kind of took from your M&O rate a little bit. Or I say took, but it's still 0.54, but we're adding 1/10 of a penny, so 0.0313 to your M&O rate. So it's 1/10 of a penny in order to kind of make sure that you have the same M&O rate as you did last year. But we'll present that, and if that's not at the pleasure of what the council wants to do, then you
And
can make
when will
those
the packet
recommendations.
be ready for us to review? I know, I don't want to put any pressure.
Yeah,
on
so
you,
we
but-
got the rate yesterday
Yeah,
afternoon. Carol and I balanced it on the spreadsheet, but in order to put it in a PowerPoint presentation, it takes probably a day or two.
Okay.
So she'll be working on that over the next couple of days.
Okay.
I'm going to try to shorten, the presentation's a long presentation, so I'm going to try to shorten it without taking out any critical information, so then that way you're not looking at a 175-page
Okay.
PowerPoint presentation. So hopefully the meeting on the 10th will go over the key points for y'all. But yes, we were very excited today with Carol and her staff for balancing today. But whether or not you like our recommendations is a whole other
Okay.
story.
All right. Well, thank you, because that was 500 and some odd thousand.
Yeah, well, it was
dollars.
400. I think we were at like 454
Okay.
was our last rate.
Okay.
Our last kind of.
Okay.
But again, we try to be as creative as we can. So.
Yes, Counselor Heil.
Did you get the information on health insurance yet?
We did, and so that will also be presented as part of your budget packet. They will come on or not them, but Lisa will be presenting the health insurance on the 18th. In order to balance the budget, there will be no increase on your health insurance rate, but we selected a different plan in order to make that happen. And so there are provisions in that we took I don't want to say lesser plan, but we raised the deductible, not extraordinary, but we did raise the deductible on the plan. We changed the emergency room provisions, and we increased the specialist costs copay in order to have no insurance increase. And we are proposing not a 2% COLA, but a 1.5% COLA. And so there, again, those are some recommendations we'll be making on the 10th. We'll go through all the changes in order to show you what we did in order to make sure that we balance the budget for y'all. And so we hope you like what you see on the 10th.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right. So thank you again to you, Dr. Caldera and Carol, and all of the directors for working so hard on this budget this year. It's always a challenge. It always is, and never, I don't know, it's never a dull moment. But anyway, thank you so much, because you've been working really hard, and we appreciate that. Let's see. So announcements. I know it's late, so so I won't belabor it. I just wanted to show everyone, oh, excuse me, Counselor Roscoe, I just wanted to thank again the Johnson family for donating this beautiful gavel for our city council chambers. There is going to be an engravement, I believe, on this.
This is what she said.
Is what she
ordered.
said in honor of her husband, so Bill, who volunteered his time in Leon Valley. So thanks again to Robin Johnson and her family for that. I had a couple of things on the, I'm on Justin Rodriguez, our county commissioner's website, and he gives us information, but I thought this is veterans. They're having August 6th, which is this week, 9 to 2, the 6th Annual Health Wellness Fair at Wonderland Mall. So, and they're giving away backpacks, so we could maybe put that in the e-news as well. Then following that is August 11th, 9:30 to 11. It's a Veterans Benefits Workshop. That might be important for our citizens here, but it's not in Leon Valley. It's on the West Side Education Training Center off of Southwest 41st Street. But again, you have to RSVP, but I'll get that information to Crystal for posting on the e-news. Last council meeting, we talked about the erosion project and about needing to move that. And so I reached out to the Historical Society, and John Hoyt, who's very instrumental on their board, he's in Wyoming right now for half the year, but they'll be back on November the 17th. And so I was wondering if the council was available on November 21st to have that erosion meeting. All of the board members of the Historical Society are available on the 21st. It's a Saturday, November 21st. It's the Saturday before Thanksgiving, so I don't know. Somebody might be out of town, and if you are, then we'll have to reschedule. But it would be, what, 9 to 12, or how many hours do we need, Dr. Caldera? But, we'll review everything.
I mean, it's more of like as many hours as you want. I
Yeah.
mean, it's I'll have the engineer. My goal is, because I still have to check with him, so once y'all figure out, solidify the date, then I need to go, he's gonna have to go over all the options with y'all again.
Right.
Y'all
It's been a
can-
while.
Yep,
But
discuss the drop.
I wanted to move it because we talked about it during the budget, and I thought that we needed to. So anyway, if you check your calendar, and if you can't make it, could you let Dr. Caldera or Angela know, and then we'll get another date. But if we all can be it, then we can just hold that date. I just want to let y'all know, this is the last weekend for the Forest Oaks Pool. I'm a swimmer, so Forest Oaks Pool to be open because school starts on Monday. So now they go to just weekends only through the last weekend in September. But anyway, I love our pool. So anyway, just wanted to, it'll be open on Labor Day. It will be open on Labor Day. Everybody got a postcard, hopefully at your house, for the comprehensive planning project. It's every Thursday in August 6th, the 13th, the 20th, and the 27th at 7 p.m. at the Leon Valley Conference Center. We really need your input on what we want to, and again, it ties into economic development, connectivity. Yes, sir, I know what you're going to say.
I was gonna address it.
Yeah.
You're going to address it? Okay.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to give the right dates. But anyway, so hope to see you there. And I'm going to try to go to every one of them if I can. I might not be able to go to the one on the 13th, but they're in quadrants. So anyway, thanks to the committee, and I hope we have a good citizen turnout. So that's it for me. So thank you. And then the next meeting will be the Monday the 10th on the budget, and then Tuesday the 18th. Are we going to meet at 5:30 for executive session?
That's up to y'all, how early you
Well,
want to meet.
I thought that we had
You're gonna have
Samir and
You're gonna have Samir, or say Samir, but his request, so it's up to y'all how long you think that will take. So if you want to meet at 5:30, we can, I have to double check with Art to make sure he's available at that time. I'm sure he is, but.
Counselor Bolton, how about your schedule? Oh, good, great, all right, thank you. Well, congratulations, you just started your new job today, so that's wonderful. I'm happy for you. Okay, anyone else? Yes, Counselor Campos, I know you always love to.
So very quick, the fire department is having a school supply collection that started August the 1st and runs through September 1st. So there'll be barrels out where the fire department and here.
Library here at City Hall.
So if you have an opportunity, please donate some school supplies. And then there was a recent fire that happened here in Leon Valley. And, you know, the fire spread very quickly. And so the fire department's just wanting to remind everybody to please test your smoke detectors on a periodic basis. And just to let everybody know that if you have a battery-powered smoke detector, that they should be replaced every 10 years.
Every 10 years and not every year?
The whole
Oh,
thing.
the whole smoke detector. Okay, I got you. I thought it was just a battery. Okay.
On that, the main thing is, we'll come and do it for you.
Oh, that's right.
Well, if you need help, we don't want you to get up on ladders. We got 20-year-olds
I
for
understand.
that.
Thank you.
But we don't want you to climb on ladders, and we can help install them,
Yeah.
or
y'all
we
did it
can
in
help
our house,
change the
too.
batteries
Yeah.
at any time.
Okay, yes, Counselor Bolton.
What about the newer ones that are like, they're not like screwed in, they're actually in the ceiling now?
They're good for 10 years.
Okay. But they're interchangeable? I mean, you can,
Probably not.
okay, that's what I was asking.
But most smoke detectors have a life of only 10 years.
Okay.
People don't know that, but.
Okay.
Okay, Counselor
work
Mersch,
after that.
go ahead. Oh, you get some more questions. Counselor
They
Mersch,
do
sorry.
have, they do have an expiration date on them, so you can look. I know I went and bought one that was the same brand, so I could leave the part that's attached to the wall or ceiling and just put the new body on it, and I didn't have to do any screws or anything else.
After the fire. Sorry, after the fire, when they had to redo my entire house, mine's like in the ceiling. I know, that's why I was asking.
But we're there to help if you need help.
Chief, I understood nobody was at home when that fire occurred.
Nobody was home.
Yeah, so that was good. Nobody got hurt. And I know that it's still under investigation.
No.
Oh. See, I'm worried about aluminum wiring in Forest Oaks because a lot of the houses in that area are with aluminum wiring, and I think there's an issue with that. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents.
That house didn't have aluminum wire.
Okay, thank you for that. All right. All right.
You
I
put him
just-
on the spot.
I know, I put you on the spot, but, you know. All copper, no way. Wow. And who told me? Somebody told me that used to be Marcus Semmelman's first house in Leon Valley before he moved to Rimkus. That's our mayor, but he's now deceased. May his soul rest in peace. So, yeah.
We had a fire there.
You did in that same house. No way. Oh, it's still just, oh, it's so ugly. It's just, with the tape.
But that's insurance.
I know. So, okay. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Yes, sir. Go
One-
ahead. I'm
one-
sorry.
one final-
Didn't mean to interrupt your
No,
presentation. Okay.
It's wonderful because.
Yeah.
But one final thing.
What's
That
that?
I plug every meeting, and that's our library programs.
I know you do.
We
I love
have
that.
20 programs between now and the end of the month, and there is plenty. And so if you go to the website, you can see them on the library's website. And Regina, I appreciate everything you do and your staff. Please let them know.
So true. Yes, Counselor Heil.
I know we've gotten lots of complaints about Tiger, but somehow, after 25 years paying that bill, I didn't pay my bill, and they didn't pick up my trash. And I called them, and you're on hold for an hour,
Yeah.
but they'll call you back, which they did. And I said to them, gee, it's 100 degrees. What am I going to do with my trash? They said, we'll be there in 2 days. And they came and picked it up, which was really nice. So I did appreciate that. So I will remember to pay my bill.
Yes, Counselor Marsh.
Well, speaking of Tiger, we had an occasion where they did not pick up trash on our trash day, but they did send out an email that evening to explain that they had issues and that they would be out the next morning and leave your trash can out, and they were there first thing the next morning. So I appreciated that communication.
So they had everybody's email address in your cul-de-sac? Wow.
Yeah, so in order to
Pretty
sign
good.
up, you have to turn in your email address.
Okay.
Yeah.
For trash service.
Very good. I guess I forgot that. Okay. Dr. Caldera, you're next if there's no one else on the dais. Yes, okay, your report, please.
So I sent the report later on this afternoon. We've had a busy day today, and so I think I sent it like at 4:30 or something like that. So my apologies. I tried to send it midday. I did want to let everybody know that I have temporarily brought back Melinda Moritz, our former Public Works Director. She's assisting in the code department. Our senior code officer is going to be out for a couple of weeks, and we just hired a new code enforcement officer, and she's been here a whole whopping 2 weeks. And so I can't train code enforcement, and so we have brought back Melinda Moritz because that was her first job here at Leon Valley. But she's abreast of our codes, and she is training our new code enforcement officer. I probably will hold her over a week when Elijah returns, just so she can kind of do a trade-off with Elijah. She'll also be helping with some SOPs for that department, and so she'll be looking at those. So I just kind of want to let everybody know, if you see Melinda around, that's what she's doing here. I did want to commemorate the library. They finished up their summer reading program, and that's a very extensive. I call that their bread and butter, is their summer programming. They'll come out with the numbers, but they serviced many kids over this whole summer. They had lots of great programs this summer. We even had one that kind of went over the occupancy. I always like to put a plug in for them during their summer program. And so they have completed their summer program, and Regina normally puts out a little report on that. And so I'll make sure I forward that to y'all. Lastly, I did want to mention the comprehensive master plan. Their postcard was sent out. The last two dates say Thursday, August 21st. It should read Thursday, August 20th. And then for quadrant 4, it says Thursday, August 28th, and it should read August the 27th. Staff apologizes for the error. I think they were playing with the dates and they didn't go back and change the date when they decided to change the day. We are posting on social media over the next couple of days on those date changes. And then the director has agreed to be there on Friday, just in case anybody does show up for the first 15 minutes of that scheduled meeting, to make sure that those people get an opportunity to fill out the survey, just so we don't have that kind of confusion. So again, our apologies, the staff apologizes. And then one more plug. So the firefighter that's leading the team when we're putting out the fire at that particular house was John Sir, Captain John Sir.
I know John.
But he's been getting the fire. So he had the apartment fire, which he did an excellent job, and he had the fire in the between that one. And so great leadership. The fire was put out, no injuries. And so I like to put in a plug for Captain Sir on that. So
okay, very good.
And that concludes my city manager's report.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, we don't have a place for adjournment on this. Did you notice? Oh, future items, of course. Anyone have future items? Yes, sir. Go ahead, right ahead.
I do, Mayor, thank you.
Yeah.
We've been hearing a lot of complaints about the flock cameras.
Yeah.
And the chief put an excellent presentation on it. There is some abuse going on, and certain things that need to be addressed, but it seems like the chief has a good handle on it. Just to give you an example, is I don't want to take his thunder away, but apparently one of the police officers was using the cameras to track down his girlfriend. And but the chief has a pretty good handle on it, and I'd like to maybe get a second for somebody, give me an opportunity so you can give us a presentation on this. And
sure. That's great. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I've read a lot about the just recently, and I'm like, whoa, it's not maybe just, it's the parent company in Atlanta is what I'm reading, is that, do they sell the information? Do they delete it? I think Sheriff Salazar, I read in the paper, the Bexar County has it, but after 30 days, he deletes everything. So I don't know.
And those concerns were mentioned at the CPAC, and he has the answers for it.
Okay, that sounds good. All right. All right. So any other future agenda items? All right. So 9:48. We're a little bit later than usual, but anyway, if there's no further business and there's no objections, we move to adjourn. Thank you all very much. Have a good evening and a great weekend, and stay cool and get a lot of hydration, please.